Chapter 1560. 1560 heavenly devils appeared 6. Heavens, what kind of monster is this? What kind of Dharma idol is this? It can make its claws grow by a few thousand meters, and even its head. There are actually 5 Type 7 profound void realm experts that have fallen. This. In the surroundings, everyone saw the terrifying appearance of the dragon head, and those experts below the Type 7 profound void realm quickly retreated. They retreated about 20 kilometers as they looked at the gigantic dragon head in shock. What the fuck is this monster? When the remaining 20 powerhouses of the 7th level of the see-through realm saw the dragon head that was a few thousand meters in size appearing in their line of sight, everyone had a look of shock on their faces. What kind of monster is this? A terrifying demonic aura spewed out from Wang Xian's mouth and engulfed all of their Dharma idols. The dragon eyes, which were dozens of meters in size, locked onto the 7th level insightful void martial artist who was like an ant. Crash! At this moment, the demonic scale chains in Wang Xian's hands moved. Numerous dark chains with sharp thorns swept towards the 27th level insightful void martial artists below. At this moment, the remaining 27th level insightful void martial artists finally panicked. Their eyes revealed a trace of fear, and their figures moved, quickly hiding in the surroundings. We admit defeat, and give those 3 spirit herbs to you. We won't fight for them. If we really fight with our lives, you won't feel good either. One of the profound void tier 7 experts shouted out with a face full of fear, his expression extremely unsightly. They originally thought that they could easily annihilate their opponents, yet they had killed 5 experts. Furthermore, the terrifying dark chains had blocked their escape route. Since I have already made my move, I will not give up. You are seeking your own death. Wang Xian was filled with killing intent. Since you dare to offend Ling Jian'er, you must be prepared to die. As he spoke, the huge dragon head opened its huge mouth and attacked the 27th level insightful void martial artists. At the same time, the devil scale chain and the huge dragon claws attacked them at the same time. Do you really think that we are afraid of you? With an angry and humiliated roar, the flames on one of the 7th level insightful void martial artists intensified. He turned into a 2,000-meter large flaming giant and attacked Wang Xian with his bare hands. The eyes of the other 19 7th level insightful void martial artists slowly turned blood red. Each of them was protected by energy and turned into a giant that was a few thousand meters in size. Hiss, what a terrifying battle. Is that black creature an expert at the 8th level of the see-through realm? At this moment, the experts from the various factions who came to check on the situation in the Black Water God Lake looked at the center of the battle with shock on their faces. This was a life-and-death battle. That is. The 2 elders of the He clan looked at the terrifying dragon head and dragon claws. Their faces were instantly filled with shock. They widened their eyes and looked at each other. Wang Xian was the friend of He Yuan of the He clan. Wang Xian. They were extremely shocked when they saw that young man transform into a terrifying dark creature that day. He destroyed the ancient demon city and killed 7 demon masters. Now, they were even more stunned when they saw him crushing more than 20 experts of the 7th level of the see-through void tier. This was too terrifying. Do you know this creature? The 2 elders of the only sect looked at the 2 clan elders of the He clan. They raised their heads slightly and asked coldly, "Yes? Speak." The 2 clan elders of the He clan were somewhat hesitant. The 2 elders of the only sect coldly spat out a word. In the surroundings, a group of powerful factions from the vast region looked over. Their eyes flickered with a luster. According to the information we received from the He clan, this creature is the Sky Demon. He was the one who destroyed the ancient city of demons. The 2 clan elders gritted their teeth and said directly. Faced with the powerful questioning from the lone sect, they did not dare to not answer. However, they did not reveal Wang Xian. Sky Demon? He is the Sky Demon? A cry of surprise came out from the mouths of the experts from the first-rate forces around them. They looked at the terrifying creature in front of them, who had crushed 20 experts of the 7th level of the see-through void tier. He was the Sky Demon? The Sky Demon who had destroyed the forces they feared. He should have reached rank 8 Profound Void Martial Expert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have crushed 20 rank 7 Profound Void Martial Experts. An elder from the Wuji Empire looked at the center of the battlefield indifferently, his eyes flickering. All of you, come here. At this moment, the two elders from the only sect looked to the left 5 kilometers away and ordered the surrounding black-robed people. When the black-robed people heard the order of the experts of the solitaire sect, fear appeared on their faces. They hurriedly flew over and shouted in fear, "Sir, why did they fight?" An elder of the solitaire sect stared at the battlefield and asked with a twinkle in his eyes. Reporting to Sir, it's because of 3 level 8 sword heartgrasses. The group of black-robed people hurriedly replied. 3 sword heartgrass? The surrounding people were stunned once again. Although 3 level 8 void interpretation sword heartgrass were precious, it was not enough to cause so many experts to fight to the death. In fact, not even a level 7 void interpretation expert would risk their lives for this. This 3 level 8 void interpretation sword heartgrass? How could they fight to the death for 3 level 8 void interpretation sword heartgrass? The elder from the solipsistic sect's face turned cold as he asked them with a heavy face. Sir, that's true. That figure who suddenly appeared said not to provoke me, and the rest of the level 7 void interpretation masters wanted to kill him. In the end, they ended up like this. Once someone wants to escape, he will directly stop them, not allowing them to escape at all. Sensing the might of the two elders, the group of black-robed men quickly bowed and said with a trembling voice, "Not allowing anyone to escape?" The pupils of the two elders narrowed, revealing a trace of shock. Just for 3 sword heartgrasses, just because 20 or so profound void tier 7 experts wanted to kill him, this Sky Demon did not allow anyone to escape. This Sky Demon is too crazy. Just for 3 sword heartgrass, he wants to kill more than 20 insightful void tier 7 experts? This killing is a habit. Not long after he destroyed the ancient demon city, he wants to kill more than 20 insightful void tier 7 experts today? As expected of a Sky Demon, a demon? If I am a demon, there is no demon in the world. It is true that for 3 spirit grass, he wants to kill more than 20 insightful void tier 7 experts. He is simply a madman. It is best not to provoke such a person. We cannot provoke this Sky Devil. Otherwise, we will be in big trouble. The first-rate forces in the vast region looked forward, their faces filled with fear as they looked at the incomparably huge, dark figure. The Devil's might was truly unexcelled in the world. All the first-rate forces had already decided that they absolutely could not provoke such a crazy fellow. Even the 3 great super forces felt a slight fear in their hearts as they looked at this Sky Devil. They are not afraid of powerful opponents, but afraid of this kind of crazy people who don't care about their lives. Chapter 1561. 1561. The 1561 Heavenly Demon appeared 7. Awe! At this moment, a scream was heard from the center. I'm not willing. Why did you kill them all? A voice filled with unwillingness and fear came from within. In the center of the huge chain, the terrifying dragon claws and dragon heads attacked the fire giants, light giants, and the terrifying dark shadow. Every strike was destructive. With the black dragon pearl of the 8th level of the see-through, Wang Xian's strength was equivalent to a weaker see-through 8th level powerhouse. Facing more than 20 see-through 7th level powerhouses, he could totally crush them. In fact, they didn't even have the chance to escape. Screams of pain rang out as the see-through 7th level powerhouses fell one after another. 7th level insightful void martial artists, 7th level insightful void martial artists who could establish a second-rate force. Now, they actually fell one by one. In the past few hundred years, there hadn't been so many 7th level insightful void martial artists who had fallen. All of this was because of the 3 sword spirit herbs. If they said it out loud, everyone might not believe it. But he was a Sky Demon, so it was possible. because this was the most powerful and terrifying devil in the vast region. Ling Jian stood in a daze as she watched the battle from afar. Every death of a 7th-level profound void tier expert caused her heart to beat violently. Her eyes flickered with a special light as she looked at that terrifying and majestic creature. She knew that he wasn't doing it for the sword spirit grass in her hands. He was doing it to save her. Who is he? What is his relationship with that priest Wang? Why are the two figures so familiar? Questions popped up in Ling Jian's mind. She thought of the first time she met that priest Wang. She thought of the statue that appeared at her door every day. Her eyes were a little lost. Bing Jianer? Ling Jianer? Father? Wang Xian? Names flashed across her mind one by one. Ah! At this moment, the last scream was heard. The 25th expert of the 7th level of the see-through realm had died. Wang Xian's dragon eyes scanned the corpses below him coldly without any emotion. He moved his body and transformed into a human. With a wave of his arm, he kept all the corpses into his interspatial ring. Wang Xian looked to the left and stared at the experts from the various forces in the vast area. "Those who provoke me will die," he said faintly. His figure flashed and disappeared into the void. This sky demon is really arrogant. When the old man from the solipsistic sect heard Wang Xian's words, a hint of coldness appeared on his face. Go back? However, he didn't say anything. The solipsistic sect wasn't willing to provoke such a crazy person for no reason. The rest of the powerhouses from the other factions also went back in silence and reported what happened here. Hiss, it's too terrifying. That person is simply too terrifying. Oh my God. He killed our clan elder just because of a disagreement. That person is too brutal and bloody. He didn't leave a single one alive. He actually didn't leave a single one alive. Seeing Wang Xian's figure disappear, everyone who was more than 20 kilometers away was filled with astonishment. Just because of 3 pieces of sword heartgrass, 25 decision-makers at the 7th level of the see-through realm had died. This was too bloody and violent. Ling Jian stood in the air in a daze. Her body moved, and she flew out quickly. Everyone around was still in shock. They did not realize that Ling Jian had left unscathed from the beginning to the end. Phew! A single battle actually caused the light and dark to lose their balance by 20%. Wang Xian, who was hiding in the void and following Ling Jian, shook his head slowly. It would take at least half a month for the light and dark to regain their balance. However, my level can already be raised. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with excitement. After destroying the ancient demon city, the spiritual herbs he obtained from the Black Curtain Garden, as well as the resources in the interspatial rings of these 25 level 7 insightful void martial artists, were enough to level up his level by 1 level. There were even quite a few remaining resources. He followed Ling Jian all the way to the courtyard where she lived. Are you still around? All of a sudden, Ling Jian looked around and shouted softly. When Wang Xian saw Ling Jian calling out to him, he was slightly stunned. A look of hesitation appeared on his face. I'm really Ling Jian. Why don't I remember anything? Ling Jian revealed a look of confusion and continued to shout to the surroundings. Wang Xian was delighted. However, he hesitated for a moment and still didn't show himself. He couldn't let Ling Jian think that he was a voyeur. Moreover, given Ling Jian's current stage of forgetfulness, it wouldn't be so easy for her to be in love again. He had to wait for a while and appear when Ling Jian's emotions were at their peak. Then, Wang Xian smiled and moved his body, leaning against the dark corner of the roof. Ling Jian stood there for a while and returned to her room immediately after waiting for no reply. She looked at the sword heart grass in her interspatial ring and was in a daze. It's time to raise my level. As Wang Xian spoke, he took out the spiritual herbs and pills from his interspatial ring and threw them into his mouth. One by one, the spiritual herbs and pills were immediately converted into dragon qi. The number that required a huge amount of dragon qi was increasing at a terrifying speed. Ding! Congratulations to host for breaking through in your level. As you have comprehended the strongest aspect of the 5 elements, the 5 elements grinding has further strengthened your dragon body. Ding! Congratulations to the host for understanding the Dharma aspect, dragon body of 10,000 li. Ding! Congratulations to the host for understanding the aspect, abyssal dragon. Name, Wang Xian. Race, dragon of the 5 elements, anthropomorphic. Level, Hollow 4, Dragon Transformation 3. Dragon Glass, 23,311,276. 4,000/10,000 billion. Avatar, rules the water tribe below its level. Devourer of life to extract dragon glass. Control the 5 elements. Kung Fu, dragon transformation. Avatar, soul, spirit, light and dark fire dragon eyes, light and dark nihility, light and dark shadow, light and dark. Facsimile, 5 elements Big Mill, Palm Dragon Country, Dragon Head World, 10,000 miles dragon body, Abyss Demon Dragon. Dragon Palace, Level 3. Members of the Dragon Palace, 17796. There was a cracking sound coming from Wang Xian's body, and a powerful energy was coming from his body. He was lying on the roof with his eyes closed as he sensed the information about his upgrade. A faint smile appeared on his face. With the upgrade of my level, I can definitely fight against or even kill a powerhouse at level 8 of the see-through realm. Also, is that Abyss Demonic Dragon a summoning type Dharma idol? Wang Xian thought to himself as a smile appeared on his face. He was confident that he would be able to resolve Ling Jian Er's matter very soon. It wouldn't take long for the light and dark to blend together. Coupled with the increase in his strength, he was in a good mood. In the room, Ling Jian took out the sword heart grass and began to absorb it slowly. A spiritual grass of the 8th level of the void interpretation was equivalent to a medicinal pill of the 7th level of the void interpretation. To a cultivator of the 2nd level of the void interpretation, it was a treasure that could increase one's strength. Cultivating the heartless sword principle was equivalent to Ling Jian who had a complete inheritance. It would be very easy for her to break through. Chapter 1562. 1562 1562 Sages of Light 1. Junior Sister Jian Junior Sister Jian At night, a group of people came to Ling Jian Er's courtyard, and Bing Jing Huan's voice sounded. Beside Bing Jing Huan was the leader, an old man dressed in ice-white clothes. In the middle of his clothes was embroidered a dragon from the extraordinary continent. The king of the Ice Heart Empire, as well as Bing Jing Huan and the other princes and princesses, had personally come. Their faces carried a trace of curiosity and shock. When they had just learned of the blood incident that had occurred because of the 3 Ice Heart grasses in Ling Jian Er's hands, the king of the Ice Heart Empire had a face full of shock. The appearance of the Sky Devil, and the killing of 25 insightful Void Tier 7 experts. This news had shaken the entire vast region, and his face was filled with shock. 25 Rank 7 Void Interpretation experts. There were only 7 Rank 7 Void Interpretation experts in the entire Ice Heart Empire. However, that Sky Demon had killed 25 of them in a short period of time. All of this was because of the 3 Sword Heartgrass. The Sword Heartgrass that Ling Jian had obtained by accident in the Black Screen Garden. When he learned that Ling Jian had returned to his residence, the king of the Ice Heart Empire immediately came over personally. Bing Jing Huan and the other princes and princesses also came over. Creak. In the room, Ling Jian opened her eyes. When she heard the sounds outside, she immediately stood up and walked out of the door. Your Majesty, the 9th Prince. When Ling Jian saw the monarch of the Bingxin Empire, Bing Jing Huan and the others, she immediately greeted them. Junior sister, are you all right? Bing Jing Huan sized up Ling Jian and asked with a face full of surprise. I'm fine. Ling Jian shook her head. Did the heavenly devil not harm you? A prince could not help but ask. No. He killed that group of experts and left immediately. Ling Jian shook her head. It's good that you're all right. That heavenly devil did not kill you. It's your good luck, Jian. The king of Bingxin slowly nodded his head, and looked at her hesitantly. The ice heart grass was taken away by the heavenly devil? No. Ling Jian'er was hiding something. After the Sky Fiend killed a group of experts, he immediately left. I don't know why he didn't ask me for the sword heart grass. She couldn't possibly tell the Bingshin King that the Sky Fiend had appeared to save her. This Sky Fiend has a strange personality. It's not impossible for him to ask you for the sword heart grass without asking Jian'er. It's best not to provoke such a devil. Bingshin King said with a grave expression. The appearance of the Sky Fiend and its attack after destroying the ancient Devil City. This time, it was even more shocking than destroying 1,000,000 lives. With a single move, it directly killed 25 profound Void Tier 7 experts. This was a total of 25. At least 20 second-rate forces ancestors had been killed. Such demonic might was enough to suppress the entire region. At that time, Skyfiend had even sent word to the experts from the 3 super and first-rate forces who had rushed over. Anyone who dared to provoke him would die. One could imagine how unbridled the entire Skyfiend was. However, this Skyfiend came at the right time. If it wasn't for the sudden appearance of the Skyfiend, junior sister Jian'er's sword Heartgrass would have been snatched away by that group of people. Her life might even be in danger. Bing Jinghuan said with a smile from the side. Jian'er, you have painstakingly obtained 3 sword Heartgrass. You can keep one and give the other 2 to father. The Ice Heart King said to Ling Jian'er. All right. Ling Jian'er hesitated for a moment before nodding her head. Then, she took out 2 sword Heartgrass from her interspatial ring and handed them over to the Ice Heart King. All right. Jian'er, if you want any cultivation resources, just tell me directly. The Bingshin King said happily. 2 spiritual herbs of the 8th level of the Profound Void Tier were also important cultivation resources for him. Ling Jian'er nodded. Now, Jian'er, cultivate well. In 10 days or so, the only sect will hold a competition that is all about you. At that time, you can participate in it and get to know some of the proud disciples of the only sect. King Bingshin said with a smile on his face. The proud disciples of only my sect? Ling Jian'er slightly raised her eyebrows. She thought of the scene where the 2 proud disciples of only my sect, above and below the heavens, were violently beaten up in the mansion of Wuqing City. That priest Wang is really secretive and very mysterious. She pursed her lips and suddenly said, Priest Wang. Ling Jian'er's words caused King Bingshin to be slightly stunned, while Bing Jinghuan's face turned slightly black. That priest Wang is very powerful, but they have provoked 2 heaven's favorites of our sect. It won't be long before that fellow will be eliminated by our sect. Bing Jinghuan said with an unpleasant expression. At that time, Priest Wang had also slapped him in the face. In particular, the other party wanted to pursue Ling Jian'er, which made him extremely angry. That young man is very mysterious. King Bing Xian frowned slightly. However, if a young man doesn't have any background, he still can't be compared to the proud sons of heaven of the only sect. All of you learn from Jian'er and spar with each other. Father will take his leave first. King Bingshin said a few simple words to Ling Jian'er before leaving to the princes and princesses. The princes and princesses asked Ling Jian'er about the sky demon out of curiosity. The group chatted for a total of an hour before leaving. Ling Jian'er heaved a sigh of relief and walked into the room. Wang Xian leaned on the roof and began to balance the light and darkness. At night, a message was sent over. Sect leader Ling had arrived with Ao Jian and Ao Yao. After taking a look at Ling Jian'er in the room, Wang Xian's figure moved and flew directly towards the entrance of the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. Dragon King! Dragon King! When Wang Xian arrived, Ao Jian, Ao Yao, and the rest immediately greeted him respectfully. Reporting to Dragon King, this is the temporary residence we found beside the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. 2 civil officials from the Dragon Palace walked over and reported to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded and looked at Sect Leader Ling. Sorry to trouble you, Sect Leader Ling. No trouble, no trouble. Little brother Wang Xian, Jian'er, now? Sect Leader Ling shook his head and asked immediately. Jian'er is fine now. I'm confident that I can bring her back very soon. Wang Xian smiled at sect leader Ling. That's good, that's good. Sect leader Ling nodded with a smile. Next, we will set our base here at the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. Send someone to investigate and see how we can get more resources. Wang Xian said to Ao Jian and Ao Yao as well as the two civil officials of the Dragon Palace. It's the Dragon King. Everyone nodded. Ao Yao, go and protect Jian. Secretly protect her safety. Report to me immediately if anything happens. Wang Xian said to Ao Yao. With Ao Yao's arrival, he didn't have to follow Ling Jian at all times. He just had to go and take a look every morning. Next, he had to set up a plan to establish a foothold in the Dragon Palace and the Dragon and Phoenix Empire in the future. Chapter 1563. 1563 1563 Sages of Light 2. The next morning, Wang Xian stood in the house where Ling Jian was staying. Looking at her who was sitting cross-legged on the bed cultivating, he waved his arm and threw the two statues at the entrance. It was only when he saw Ling Jian open the door, pick up the two statues at the entrance and put them into his interspatial ring that he smiled and left. Ao Yao was hiding in the surroundings, protecting her in the dark. Ling Jian stood in the courtyard and looked around in a daze. She did not find any traces. Ao Jian and Ao Yao soon found a way to quickly gather resources. They hunted the dark beasts in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. The dark beasts and demon beasts were a huge resource for the Dragon Palace. Although the Dragon Palace was not here, they could not turn them into dragon blood in the dragon pool. However, they could preserve the corpses of the ferocious beasts and demonic beasts. As the center of the vast region, the Divine Kingdom forest was extremely vast. It took up an area of more than 100,000 kilometers. There were countless of ferocious beasts and demonic beasts living in it. The powerful ferocious beasts and demonic beasts were even feared by the three superpowers. The golden swordfish and strange demon could hunt and kill the ferocious beasts and demonic beasts. They could collect their corpses and bring them to the Dragon Palace to increase their strength in the future. Apart from visiting Ling Jian every day, Wang Xian would stay in his room to balance the light and dark attributes. All radiant priests, head to the front of Wuji Empire's palace immediately. We, Wuji Empire, invite you. All radiant priests, head to the front of Wuji Empire's palace immediately. We, Wuji Empire, invite you. On the morning of the fifth day, a majestic voice suddenly resounded in the sky above the ruins of the entire Divine Kingdom. The awe-inspiring voice carried an unquestionable tone as it resounded in everyone's mind. Oh, what's going on? This awe-inspiring voice? This is the voice of the Wuji Empire's ancestor. Heavens, why would such a powerful figure personally order all the radiant priests to stand in front of the Wuji Empire's palace? When this voice sounded, everyone in the God Nation ruins trembled slightly. Even the other two superpowers and a group of first-rate forces looked in the direction of the Wuji Empire with faces full of shock. Order all the radiant priests in the Divine Kingdom ruins. Has the Wuji Empire encountered any problems? Some experts were alarmed. Go, we'll rush over immediately. Quick, the Patriarch of the Wuji Empire actually personally called for us to rush over. Call all the priests of our Divine Light Empire. Go over immediately and call our Patriarch. When the voice fell, everyone was shocked. All the radiant priests in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom were shocked and rushed over to the Wuji Empire. The order from the Wuji Empire was so sudden. To call all the radiant priests in such a hurry meant that something big had happened. Even the Divine Light Empire hurriedly ordered all the radiant priests of the Empire and even the Patriarch to go over personally when they heard this voice. This voice? It should be coming from a powerhouse above level 8 of the Void Interpretation stage. When Wang Xian heard this voice, a hint of surprise appeared on his face. A powerhouse above level 8 of the Void Interpretation stage, a powerhouse at level 9 of the Void Interpretation stage, would be considered a top-notch figure in the vast region. Why would such a figure be so anxious? reporting to the Dragon King. We have received news that the Crown Prince of Wuji Empire, Wuqing City, has suffered a serious injury in the Black Screen Garden. Now, the Wuji Empire has summoned all the Radiant Priests to go and treat him. At this moment, a civil official of the Dragon Palace came in and reported to Wang Xian. Wuqing City has suffered a serious injury. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of surprise. It's the Dragon King. The exact injuries are unknown. The civil official nodded and said, "It seems that Wuqing City's injuries are not light. Otherwise, the ancestors of Wuji Empire wouldn't be in such a hurry." Wang Xian thought to himself, for Wuqing City to be appointed as the crown prince at such a young age, it showed how much importance the Wuji Empire placed on him. Now that the crown prince's life was in danger, it was a huge matter for the entire Wuji Empire. Wang Xian didn't go over. Although he was a radiant priest, he didn't care about the Wuji Empire. Furthermore, no one knew that he was here. With his concealment ability, even if the Wuji Empire used all their strength, they wouldn't be able to find him. At this moment, in front of the Wuji Empire's palace in the God Country ruins, screams of pain could be heard. Several hundred experts from the Wuji Empire stood beside a young man. The young man's entire body was pitch black, emitting waves of terrifying demonic qi. His face was somewhat distorted and malevolent, and his left and right faces seemed to have their own lives. Sigh, I can't suppress it. There are too many darkness souls in his body. More than 10 6th-level void interpretation darkness souls have lives. Once I want to get rid of them, they will immediately devour Qing City. Bastards! How are you protecting Qing City? A bald old man with black pupils placed his hands on Wuqing City's body and shouted angrily. Patriarch, we deserve to die. We deserve to die. We didn't protect the crown prince well. In the front, more than 10 middle-aged elders kneeled on the ground in fear and kept talking to the old man. Qing Cheng was careless this time. In order to obtain the Black Veil Heart Fruit, he used the Black Circle Heart to deal with the Darkness Soul. In the end, he didn't manage to get too many Darkness Souls and was devoured. Beside the bald elder with black eyes, an elder holding a darkness staff sighed. Big brother, big brother. At this moment, a group of figures quickly walked over. Wu Qingyin and Wu Qingyin, who were in the lead, were filled with anxiety. When they saw Wu Qingcheng lying there in pain, their expressions changed drastically. The darkness soul has entered his body. Wu Qingyin saw her brother's condition and was shocked. Elder ancestor, grandfather, big brother. Wu Qingyin ran over and called out worriedly. The darkness soul has entered his body. Elder ancestor has no choice. Let the light priests take a look first. The elder holding the dark staff frowned. More than 10 souls of darkness? And all of them are at the 6th level of the profound void tier. This? Wu Qingyin looked at the souls of darkness in her brother's body, and her expression changed slightly. Elder ancestor, grandfather. I'm afraid this is not something an ordinary light priest can handle. She looked at the elder ancestor and grandfather, and said with an extremely embarrassed expression, as the daughter of light, her strength was not considered weak among the radiant priests. She was very clear about her brother's current condition. It was very difficult to destroy more than 10 6th-level insightful void tier darkness souls. In fact, she felt that even her master might not be able to get rid of them. I've already sent people to take them over. Let the other radiant priests take a look first. Who knows, there might be a way. The old man holding the dark scepter said in a deep voice. Gathering all the priests of light, they were also desperate. Chapter 1564 1564 Saint of Light 3. What happened? The crown prince of Wuqing City has been invaded by the soul of darkness. Gather all our priests to deal with it. What do you mean the crown prince has been invaded by the soul of darkness? In front of the palace of Wuji dynasty, priests quickly rushed over. In less than 10 minutes, thousands of priests of light arrived. There were void interpretation level priests and transcendents. They were all discussing in shock. All radiant priests, come over and see how our crown prince's situation should be resolved. A middle-aged man looked at the radiant priest who had rushed over and said in a deep voice, "Yes, yes." The radiant priest who had rushed over quickly walked over with a respectful expression. "Among you, if anyone can cure Qing City, what do you want? What will our Wuji Empire give you?" At this moment, the bald, black-eyed elder standing in the middle said in a deep voice with an expressionless face, "I don't dare, I don't dare. This lowly one will definitely give it my all." When all the radiant priests heard the bald, black-eyed elder's words, their pupils constricted slightly and their breathing quickened as they hurriedly said loudly, "Let me take a look." The Divine Light Medical Hall's hall master immediately walked over and arrived in front of the Wu Qing City's crown prince. An invasion of darkness souls. When he walked over, he was instantly shocked, and his expression became solemn. A sixth-level void interpretation darkness soul, and there are actually more than 10 of them entering his body, hiss. He walked to the side of Wu Qing City, and even before he started examining, he could already sense the tyrannical darkness souls in his body. This caused his expression to become extremely grave. His strength was only at level 6 of the profound void tier. Even if a single darkness soul entered his body, he wouldn't be able to deal with it, much less when more than a dozen darkness souls were entangled together. What? More than a dozen level 6 of the profound void tier darkness souls entered his body. This? When the surrounding light priests heard Divine Light Hall Master's words, their faces revealed embarrassed expressions. No wonder even the Wuji dynasty's patriarch couldn't treat the crown prince's injuries. No wonder the Wuji dynasty would call all the radiant priests over and promise to give whatever they wanted to anyone who could heal them. All of the radiant priests had extremely embarrassed looks on their faces. Even the Divine Light Hall Master stood there, unable to make a move. This was simply not something he could solve. When the Wuji dynasty's patriarch and the others saw that all the radiant priests were helpless, their expressions became slightly awkward. "My lords of the Wuji dynasty, all the radiant priests of our Divine Light dynasty have arrived." At this moment, another group of people rushed over quickly. The leader was the Emperor of the Divine Light dynasty. He did not dare to be the slightest bit negligent. When he saw the bald, black-eyed elder, his face became even more respectful. "My lord, our forefather is coming from the Divine Light Empire right now," he reported to the bald, black-eyed elder. "Yes, I know. I'll have to trouble you. If your Divine Light Empire can cure Qing City, our Wuji Empire will definitely give you a satisfactory reward," the black-eyed elder said directly. Yes. The king of the Divine Light Empire's eyes lit up, and he looked behind him. The priests of the Divine Light Empire immediately walked over. Among them were 2 radiant priests at the 7th level of the Insight Void tier. Princess Qingyan, the crown prince of Wuqing City, is the son of Light Tian Qingguang looked at the experts of the empire as they walked over. He walked to the side of Princess Wu Qingyan and asked softly, "More than 10 6th-level Insight Void tier darkness souls have entered the body." Wu Qingyan said anxiously as she kept looking at her brother. "What?" Tian Qingguang was slightly shocked. Even if a transcendent-level darkness soul entered the body, it would still require a powerful radiant priest to be able to deal with it. A 6th-level void interpretation. His expression was slightly solemn. As a child of light, even though he was called trash by Priest Wang, he still had some strength. He knew the severity of the darkness soul entering the body. Among the 100 people who have been entered by the darkness soul, not one of them will be able to recover. With the help of the experts from the Divine Light dynasty, they should be able to get rid of the darkness soul. At the rear, all the light priests from the ruins of the Divine Kingdom rushed over. When they learned of the injuries of the Crown Prince of Wuqing City, they were all extremely solemn. More than a dozen darkness souls entered the Crown Prince's body without the slightest damage. Their intelligence did not suffer the slightest damage. This is troublesome. That's right. With our strength, it would be extremely difficult for us to face a level 6 insightful void tier darkness soul one-on-one. At this moment, The two level 7 insightful void tier light priests who were examining Wuching City's body had slightly embarrassed expressions. The radiant priest's combat strength was very weak to begin with, and they wanted to understand these darkness souls. This was equivalent to fighting with the darkness souls in Wu Qingcheng's body. They could not destroy the darkness souls without harming Wu Qingcheng. If you need any treasures to assist you, feel free to say it. The people from Wuji dynasty who were standing to the side saw their solemn expressions, and their expressions did not look good as they directly said this. The two insightful void tier 7 radiant priests took a deep breath and bowed. We are helpless. The Crown Prince's dark souls are too complete. There are more than 10 of them. We can't do anything about it. Maybe our morning light forefather has a way. We are really ashamed. The two bowed and shook their heads. This made the faces of the people of Wuji Empire turn ugly. If any of you have the special effect of the folk prescription, as long as it is beneficial to Qing City, tell us and Wuji Empire will not mistreat you. The old man holding the dark staff glanced at the thousands of light priests and said in a deep voice. No one said anything. No one was confident. Old Hu, you seem to have told me that Priest Wang once saved a young man who was invaded by the soul of darkness. Among the priests of light, the master of the holy medicine shop asked Old Hu in a low voice. Yes, he saved a young man who was invaded by darkness, but we don't know where Priest Wang is now. Old Hu shook his head bitterly. Buzz, what's going on? Just as the two of them finished speaking, the people in front of them were pushed to the sides by an invisible force. They were slightly shocked and quickly looked forward. The priests of light who had been moved away were also shocked. You said that someone treated a young man who was invaded by darkness? Where is that person? In front of them, more than a dozen people opened a path. What they saw was the dignified gaze of the bald, black-eyed elder. Cold sweat appeared on the foreheads of the hall master and Old Hu. Reporting to my lord, our medical hall once had a mysterious priest Wang who cured a young man, but we don't know where this priest Wang is now. The Sacred Medicine Hall's hall master and Old Hu knelt on the ground in panic and said directly, Priest Wang, that arrogant fellow? Chapter 1565 1565 Saint of Light 4 Priest Wang. When the owner of the holy medicine shop said these 3 words, the people around were stunned. The name of Priest Wang was like thunder to all the priests of light and even some of the youths in the vast area. He publicly insulted the Son of Light as trash and threw him down from the 4th floor. Furthermore, he even said that the Daughter of Light was trash. Other than that, what shocked everyone the most was that Priest Wang had humiliated 2 heaven's favorites from the solipsistic sect. He injured them on the spot. Everyone knew the arrogance and strength that he displayed. What level of darkness soul had invaded the youth that Priest Wang was healing? The bald, black-eyed elder heard the shock and discussion of the people around him and slightly raised his eyebrows. Reporting to my lord, it should be around rank 1 or rank 2 of the void interpretation. Old Hu did not dare to hide anything and hurriedly replied. When the bald, black-eyed elder heard his reply, he slowly frowned. Clearly, he was somewhat disappointed. Invaded by a rank 1 or rank 2 darkness soul, we also have the strength to heal it. That's right, it's not too difficult to get rid of the soul of darkness that has entered us. Some of the priests who had entered the 6th rank of the profound void sect heard this and said calmly, that guy has offended 2 heaven's favorites from the only sect in the sky and earth. He might have already been killed in the dark. When Tianqing Guang heard this name, he said with a malevolent expression, towards that fellow who dared to insult him, he wanted nothing more than to tear him into pieces. A youth who can only heal a rank 1 or rank 2 darkness soul is completely useless. Let's wait for our Dawn Light ancestor to arrive first. A Divine Light Dynasty rank 7 darkness soul priest said. All the surrounding light priests nodded in agreement. The Morning Light ancestor could be called the ancestor of the entire world of light priests. The profession of light priest wasn't born for a long time. The one who developed it and continued to develop it was the Divine Light Dynasty's Morning Light ancestor. No one could object to him saying that he was the #1 person in the world of light wood. Ancestor, grandfather, we can find that priest Wang to give it a try. At this moment, Wu Qingyan and Wu Qingyin looked at each other. After hesitating for a moment, they said to the bald elder with black eyes and the elder holding the dark scepter. Huh. The elder holding the dark scepter looked at the two of them with a trace of curiosity. When Tian Qingguang heard this, his expression changed slightly. Princess Qingyan, that priest Wang has already disappeared. I guess he has already been destroyed. Where can we find a dead person? He said with an ugly expression. Impossible. With the strength of the two heavens favorites of our sect in heaven and earth, it's impossible to kill him. Wu Qingyin shook her head with certainty. Oh, Qingyin, that priest Wang is very powerful? An elder of Wuji Empire looked at Wu Qingyin and asked. Very powerful. My brother and I have investigated his information. His level is the same as my uncle's. He's not even 30 years old. Under his push, the Luhai region was unified. As soon as he arrived in the vast region, he directly destroyed the second-rate force, Atlas Sword Sect. This person is very mysterious. His control over the light is very abnormal. As long as our sect doesn't send a level 8 profound void martial expert, it will be very difficult to kill him. Wu Qingyin said to the elders and experts of the Wuji Empire with a grave expression. What? However, Wu Qingyin's 2 words caused the middle-aged man who asked earlier to reveal a shocked expression. The surrounding experts from the Wuji Empire were all shocked. Even the eyes of the bald-headed, black-eyed elder narrowed slightly. His eyes were filled with shock. A rank 7 profound void martial expert who was not even 30 years old. This was simply shocking news. Wu Qingqing, an outstanding disciple of the Wuji imperial family that they had met 5,000 years ago, was currently in his 50s and was only at the peak of rank 3 profound void martial. Now, such a monstrous existence had appeared. How? How is this possible? The surrounding radiant priests revealed expressions of disbelief. 7th level of the profound void martial stage. He's actually at the 7th level of the profound void martial stage? Tian Qingguang's gaze was dazed, his gaze somewhat absent-minded. 7th level of the profound void martial stage. This was the 7th level of the profound void martial stage. His father, the current emperor of the Divine Light Empire, was only at the 7th level of the profound void martial stage. However, that young man had actually reached the 7th level of the insightful void realm. No wonder he dared to say that Wu Qingyin was trash. He dared not give face to the 2 heavens favorites of the only sect. This guy. Tian Qingguang's face was a little twisted. He clenched his fists tightly, full of unwillingness. Qingyin, are you serious? The elder holding the dark staff looked over with a serious face and asked, Grandfather, this is the news that our dynasty's dark mansion received. Wu Qingyin nodded. The eyes of the elder holding the dark staff flickered, filled with astonishment. Qingyin, do you know where that young man is? Call him over. The bald elder with black pupils looked at Wu Qingyin and said directly, I don't know. Wu Qingyin shook her head and frowned. Sister, is he in the He clan? He Yuan of the He clan has a very good relationship with him. Wu Qingyin frowned and asked, I don't know if he is in the He clan, but Lingjian, of the Bingxin dynasty, will definitely be able to find him. Wu Qingyin's eyes flickered as she said. That priest Wang came to their vast area for Lingjian so Lingjian should know where he is. Send someone to the He clan and invite the He clan's people over. Also, go to the Bingxin dynasty and invite that Lingjian over. The bald, black-eyed elder directly ordered. Yes, Patriarch. Several experts from the Wuji dynasty immediately nodded and quickly flew towards the He clan and Bingxin dynasty. Oh! Right at this moment, Wu Qing City's miserable cries continued to ring out. His face was as malevolent as a devil, and he looked abnormally terrifying. Everyone from Wuji Empire hurriedly looked over, their faces filled with sighs and helplessness. When our morning light ancestor arrives, he will definitely expel the darkness soul from the body of Wu Qing City's crown prince. That's right, our morning light ancestor is the #1 radiant priest. Although that radiant priest Wang's talent is monstrous, his true strength is still far from our ancestors. The people of Bingxin dynasty glanced at the radiant priests who were still in shock and said with a slightly embarrassed expression, "That's right. Although that priest Wang is extraordinary, his strength is still far from our forefathers." Tian Qingguang gritted his teeth and said with a firm gaze, "Buzz, Lord Dark Pupil, Dawn Light has come to pay his respects." At this moment, an elder who was surrounded by milky white light flew over from the horizon. It was as if he had descended from the sky. A gentle voice spread across the entire front of the palace. The elder had a head full of white hair, beard, and brows. He was shrouded in light and looked divine and dignified. He held a white horsetail whisk in his hand and flew in front of the black-eyed bald elder from the Wuji Empire. He called out respectfully. Chapter 1566. 1566 1566 Sages of Light 5. Greetings, Morning Light Patriarch. The radiant priest of the Divine Light Dynasty, Morning Light Patriarch, arrived. He bowed respectfully to the bald, black-eyed elder, while the rest of the radiant priests bowed respectfully to Morning Light Patriarch. As an existence like the Patriarch of the radiant priest world, all the radiant priests had to bow when they saw him. Morning Light? Your strength has improved quite a bit again? Dark-Eye Patriarch sized up Morning Light with his abyss-like eyes, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. It's my lord. He has improved a bit, reaching the peak of the 8th level of the Profound Void tier. Morning Light Patriarch smiled. Master, quickly look at my brother. He has been possessed by the soul of darkness. Wu Qingyin hurried over when she saw the old man. She said anxiously, "Don't worry, Qingyin. Master will do everything he can to cure the crown prince of Wuqing City." Forefather of Dawn Light said with determination in his eyes. Because of Wu Qingyin, the relationship between Divine Light Empire and Wuji Empire was pretty good. This time, if he could cure the crown prince of Wuqing City, his relationship with Wuji Empire would be closer. At that time, as long as Wuji Empire was around, his Divine Light Empire would not suffer a destructive disaster. Brother Chengwang, quickly take a look at Qing City. The elder holding the dark staff hurriedly indicated. Yes. Chengwang forefather respectfully nodded at him and immediately walked to the side of Wuqing City. Forefather, the crown prince of Wuqing City has more than 10 6th-level void interpretation dark souls entering his body. It's very troublesome. A few experts from the Bingxin dynasty, Tian Qingguang, and the others immediately walked over and whispered. Forefather Chengwang nodded, and his gaze swept over Wuqing City, revealing a trace of solemnity. Forefather, the He clan's people have arrived. Forefather, the Bingxin dynasty's people have arrived. At this moment, 2 voices came from the side. Behind the 2 middle-aged men were the He clan and the Bingxin dynasty's people. Even the Bingxin king had rushed over. The experts from the Wuji dynasty called them over, and they didn't dare to be the slightest bit negligent. We pay our respects to Patriarch Dark-Eye. Everyone looked at the bald, black-eyed elder and felt a chill in their hearts. They immediately bowed respectfully. Patriarch Dark-Eye slowly nodded. He clan, do you know where that young man called Priest Wang is located? The elder holding the dark staff looked at the He clan and asked. The He clan members were slightly stunned. He Yuan, who was standing beside an elder, was shocked. He hesitated for a moment and took a step forward. Senior, may I know why you are looking for Priest Wang? He Yuan, you don't have to worry. We have no ill intentions. Right now, my brother has been invaded by the soul of darkness. I heard that Priest Wang had cured a young man who had been invaded by darkness, so I brought him here. Wu Qingyin looked at He Yuan and said directly. Reporting to Senior, Princess Qingyin. To be honest, I haven't seen that brother of mine since he left the Crown Prince's mansion in Wuqing City. When He Yuan heard Wu Qingyin's words, he swept his gaze across the room and immediately said, You don't know? You can't find where he lives? Wu Qingyin frowned. He Yuan doesn't dare to hide anything. He Yuan shook his head. Miss Lingjian, do you know where Priest Wang is currently? Wu Qingyin turned her head and looked towards the location of the Bingxin Empire. Her gaze landed on Lingjian, who was at the side. Seeing Wu Qingyin's gaze, the Bingxin king was slightly stunned. Princess Qingyin, this adopted daughter of mine is called Bingjian. I don't think she knows that Priest Wang. He hurriedly replied. Lingjian also looked at Wu Qingyin with a frown. It was obvious that the words Lingjian had caused her to be slightly confused. This lady is indeed called Lingjian. That Priest Wang has been looking for her for a very long time. Miss Lingjian, do you know where Priest Wang is now? Wu Qingyin looked at Lingjian and continued to ask. This? Lingjian felt a little absent-minded as she thought of the statue that was placed at the entrance every day. She felt that the other party might be not far away from her, but she did not know exactly where the other party was. Bing Jinghuan, who was at the side, slightly clenched his fists as he stared at Lingjian. I don't know where he is either. Lingjian shook her head. Wu Qingyin frowned when she heard her answer. Qingyin, that Priest Wang came to the vast region from hundreds of thousands of miles away to look for this lady? At this moment, the elder holding the dark scepter asked faintly. Yes, grandfather. I came to look for her. I thought she should know. Wu Qingyin nodded. That's simple. The elder holding the dark scepter nodded and opened his mouth slightly. Priest Wang, this Miss Lingjian is with us. Please come over. A voice suddenly resounded throughout all the regions of the Kingdom of God Ruins. Everyone could hear the elder's words. His words made Lingjian frown slightly. A simple sentence from the Wuji Empire revealed how overbearing they were. It was very simple to tell Wang Xian that since Lingjian was with them, it was best for him to come over. Although his tone wasn't too harsh, it was filled with a faint threat. Who is that Priest Wang? However, at this moment, Forefather Qing Wang, who was standing beside Wuqing City, suddenly raised his eyebrows and asked indifferently. Master, it's a young man with monstrous strength. He has the strength of the 7th level of the profound void martial stage. Wu Qingyin immediately answered. Oh, the cultivation base of the 7th level of the profound void martial stage? Grand Ancestor Cheng Guang was slightly surprised. Grand Ancestor, that guy is very arrogant. At that time, not only did he say that the Son of Light is trash, but he also said that the Daughter of Light of Princess Qingyan is trash. He is very arrogant. Tian Qingguang, who was at the side, immediately said with an embarrassed expression. Oh, he actually called Qingyan and Qingguang trash? I want to see how capable he is. The Qingguang patriarch slightly narrowed his eyes and said indifferently. Master, he is indeed powerful. Wu Qingyan glanced at Tian Qingguang and said indifferently. Even if he is powerful, he doesn't have the right to call me Qingguang's beloved disciple. Forefather of the Morning Light stroked Wu Qingyan's head and said coldly. That's true. That fellow is indeed a little arrogant. Humph. Wu Qingyan smiled at her master. She called Wang Xian over because she wanted to give it a try. In her heart, the most powerful radiant priest was her master. At this moment, Wang Xian, who was sitting cross-legged in the room to balance the light and darkness, opened his eyes when he heard this voice. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. Why are you looking for me? Wang Xian frowned slightly. However, he did not hesitate. He stood up immediately and flew towards the front of the Wuji Empire's palace. Dragon King, the Dragon Queen was called over by the Wuji Empire to look for you. She probably wants you to save their crown prince. Ao Yao's voice was heard when Wang Xian entered the Wuji Empire's area. He nodded his head slowly and looked at the place where the radiant priests were gathered. All the powerhouses of Wuji Empire, your invitation is really something new. Chapter 1567 1567 Saint of Light 6 Experts from Wuji Empire, your invitation is really something new. Wang Xian's voice covered the front of Wuji Empire's palace. When Wuji Empire and all the priests heard this voice, everyone was stunned. The voice was so arrogant. This short sentence carried a hint of mockery. This priest Wang actually dared to mock the Wuji Empire. Everyone looked towards the sky at the same time. It was a plain figure. He didn't have a dazzling brilliance, nor did he have a powerful aura. He was dressed in pure white and was walking towards them slowly. There wasn't a hint of fear, respect in his eyes. He Yuan, this brother of yours is really... The old man standing beside He Yuan looked at Wang Xian's figure and whispered to He Yuan in a speechless manner. His eyes sparkled and were filled with shock. This young man... No, this sky demon really didn't put anyone in his eyes. He Yuan looked at Wang Xian with a pained expression. He already had a slight understanding of this brother of his. He was a pushover. When he was tough, he didn't care whether he was from the solipsistic sect or the Wuji Empire. This was especially the case when the Sky Demon killed 25 powerhouses at the 7th level of the see-through realm not long ago. With such terrifying combat strength, this brother of his had already reached the 8th level of the see-through realm. It was shocking. When the entire He clan heard this news, everyone was shocked beyond words. It was the 8th level of the see-through void tier. It was comparable to the top-notch combat strength of the He clan. Even the ancestor of the He clan felt a little dazed. Ling Jian saw that Wang Xian rushed over just because a powerhouse from the Wuji Empire shouted his name. His face was filled with a strange expression. A special emotion was born in her heart. This kind of emotion was something she had never experienced before. Impudent. Wuji Empire had ordered all the radiant priests to come over just now. Why didn't you come? Do you know your crime? Tian Qingguang's eyes were filled with anger when he saw Wang Xian. He shouted with a cold face. Arrogant and arrogant. Why aren't you here to apologize? The head of the Divine Light Medical Center also looked at Wang Xian and shouted in a deep voice. The group of experts from the Wuji Empire also raised their eyebrows and stared at Wang Xian. A faint murderous aura emanated from the few experts. In the vast region, no one dared to ignore the Wuji Empire, not even the other two superpowers. Wang Xian glanced at the two clowns who spoke. He looked at He Yuan and nodded at him faintly. Finally, his gaze landed on Ling Jian and he smiled at her. Hey, arrogant fellow. I told you to come over and take a look at my brother's injuries. Don't be too arrogant. Wu Qingyan's face turned a little dark when she saw Wang Xian's attitude. She shouted directly. Has the crown prince of Wuqing City been possessed by the soul of darkness? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and swept his gaze across the experts of Wuji Empire. His gaze landed on the bald elder with black eyes in the middle. His eyes revealed a solemn look. With his current strength, although he had made a breakthrough, he was still far from being able to contend against such an existence. At most, he would be able to survive in the hands of this elder. Of course, being able to survive was already a very good thing. This was also the reason why Wang Xian dared to mock the Wuji Empire. Because he wasn't afraid. Senior, let me take a look at the injuries of the Crown Prince of Wuqing City. Not being afraid didn't mean that he could provoke the Wuji Empire. Wang Xian cupped his hands and said to Patriarch of Dark Eye, Young man, if you have the strength, you have the capital. However, you have to keep a low profile sometimes. Patriarch of Dark Eye reminded Wang Xian indifferently. I understand. Wang Xian cupped his hands and nodded. I will do my best. All right. If you can cure Qing City, we will try our best to satisfy you. Patriarch of Dark Eye said to Wang Xian calmly. When Wang Xian heard his words, a glint flashed across his eyes. His heart skipped a beat. Thank you, Senior. Let me take a look at the situation of the Crown Prince of Wuqing City first. Wang Xian nodded his head and walked towards Wuqing City immediately. Young man, you are indeed arrogant. However, you must have a certain attitude when it comes to your strength. You must understand the importance of respect and inferiority. As Wang Xian approached, Patriarch of Dawn Light, who was standing beside the Crown Prince of Wuqing City, shot a glance at Wang Xian and warned him in a lecturing manner. This old man is right. Strength is not related to age. Wang Xian looked at Patriarch of Dawn Light indifferently and said with a smile, "Humph." When Forefather Chengwang heard Wang Xian's sarcastic words, his eyes revealed a hint of coldness. "I was the one who opened up the path of the Radiant Priest. Junior, you should know how to be grateful. You don't know respect and inferiority, and you don't know how to be grateful." Tian Qingguang spat out coldly from the side. "You don't have the right to speak in front of me." Wang Xian glanced at Tian Qingguang and didn't take him seriously at all. Upon hearing his words, Tian Qingguang almost exploded in anger. His eyes were filled with fury. "Haha, I'm the daughter of light and the son of light. I don't know what qualifications you have to call them trash. Today, after I treat the crown prince of Wuqing City, I need you to give me an explanation. Otherwise..." Forefather Chengwang stared at Wang Xian and narrowed his eyes slightly. "Let's wait and see." When Wang Xian heard his words, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. His pair of eyes looked at the floating Wuqing City in the void. "You have the same cultivation level as us. I don't know how you have the courage to be so arrogant. I called you over just for a glimmer of hope. Do you really think that you can be compared to our patriarch? Hee hee, what a sad, laughable, and lamentable story." When the radiant priests behind Forefather Chengwang heard his words, they stared at him coldly. Behind him, the radiant priests also stared at Wang Xian coldly and mocked him in a low voice. Even Wu Qingyan looked at Wang Xian with displeasure. Did he really think that he had to go through so much trouble to call you over just to rely on you to heal him? This was merely because the one who was injured was his brother. He would not let go of any opportunity to heal him. It's a little troublesome to be invaded by 17 darkness souls. Forefather Chengwang swept a cold glance at Wang Xian before turning his gaze to Wu Qingcheng. His expression gradually turned solemn. He moved his arm and a resplendent staff appeared in his hand. On the head of the staff was the image of a winged figure that resembled an angel. The angels trembled slightly as the 17 little angels slowly descended into Wu Qingcheng's body. 17 darkness souls. Patriarch's strength has increased by another step. He can definitely expel them easily. These are the angels of light. Each angel contains boundless light and can expel all darkness. Everyone in the surroundings, and even at the back, looked astonished when they saw the attack of the morning light patriarch. 17 angels of light. Each angel of light contained energy no lower than the darkness souls. 17 angels of light could expel 17 souls of darkness from the body of the crown prince of Wuqing City. Chapter 1568. 1568, Saint of Light 7. To destroy the darkness soul with the powerful power of light requires precise control, especially when Qing City is of the darkness attribute. It is extremely difficult. However, the strength of the morning light has increased by quite a lot. This angel of light is not bad. Dark Eye Elder's eyes were also staring intently at this place. He commented indifferently when he saw the morning light elder attack. Although the crown prince has been invaded by 17 darkness souls, it is fortunate that they are all at the 6th level of the profound void tier. With the increase in my strength, I can accurately control 20 angels of light. It is not too difficult to deal with the darkness souls. When Dawn Light Patriarch heard Dark Eye Patriarch's words, he said indifferently, "Hiss, controlling 20 angels of light. Dawn Light Patriarch's control over light is terrifying. Yeah, it's simply too powerful. If only I had such powerful control, that would be great." The Patriarch is worthy of being the Patriarch. In terms of control over the light attribute, no one can rival him. It seems that the dark soul in the crown prince's body can be quickly dispelled. In the surroundings, when everyone saw the morning light patriarch controlling 17 angels of light into the body of Wuqing City, all the radiant priests had looks of amazement on their faces. Such control over the light was indeed worthy of being the number 1 radiant priest. When Wang Xian saw the move of the patriarch of the morning light, he raised his eyebrows slightly and revealed a hint of surprise on his face. As expected of a radiant priest at the 8th level of the see-through void tier, his control ability is indeed powerful. Wang Xian didn't hold back and directly praised. HMPH, with your strength, you don't have the right to judge our patriarch. Just watch with your eyes wide open and broaden your horizons. When Tian Qingguang heard his words, he glanced at Wang Xian with a gloomy face and said mockingly. Wu Qingyin clenched her fists at Wang Xian and raised her head slightly. Wang Xian did not shift his gaze. His dragon eyes of fire and light were staring straight into Wu Qingqing's body. He felt that the darkness souls in Wu Qingqing's body were not that simple. These darkness souls were completely complete and possessed powerful intelligence. They have joined forces. As expected, just as Wang Xian expected, when the 17 angels of light entered the body of Wu Qing City and were about to destroy the darkness souls, all the darkness souls actually joined forces. Huh. Forefather of the morning light was slightly stunned when he heard Wang Xian's words. When he sensed that the darkness souls in the body of Wu Qing City were about to join forces, his expression changed slightly. He glanced at Wang Xian in surprise, and his aura trembled. HMPH, even if they join forces, they will definitely die today. How dare they stay in the body of the crown prince of Wu Qing City? Prepare to be purified. A strong sense of confidence appeared on Forefather Chengwang's face. The radiant angel staff in his hand shook once again. 3 more radiant angels appeared and fell into the body of Wu Qing City. They used their powerful control to suppress the soul of darkness. Even Wang Xian had to admit the strength of the Forefather of the morning light. He was indeed worthy of being the pioneer of the radiant priest. With his current strength, he is indeed able to control the soul of darkness. Wang Xian watched from the side as he muttered. However, before he could finish his words, his expression instantly turned grave. This is troublesome. Stop immediately. Wang Xian quickly said to Patriarch of Dawn Light. Shut up. Don't talk nonsense when our patriarch banishes you. A kid who thinks he can interfere with our patriarch just because he has some strength? He doesn't know his place. As soon as Wang Xian finished his sentence, 2 priests of light shouted coldly from the side. This is bad. As soon as the 2 priests of light finished their words, Forefather Chengwang's heart skipped a beat and his expression turned ugly. Come out, he shouted immediately, and 20 angels of light flew out from Wu Qingcheng's body. Ah, roar, roar. At this moment, Wu Qingcheng suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream. Following that, the blood-curdling scream turned into a terrifying beast roar. The roar was filled with a brutal expression. Wu Qingcheng's eyes changed rapidly like a wild beast. Devour. 17 darkness souls are actually being devoured. They are about to merge into one and evolve. Seeing this scene, Forefather Dawn Light's body trembled and his face turned pale. He stared at Wu Qingcheng's body and his expression kept changing. What happened? Dark Eye Patriarch appeared in front of Wu Qingcheng in an instant and stared at him. Wu Qingcheng's body was trembling violently. His face, stomach, and arms bulged one after another. His skin was torn as if it was going to explode. Evil creature, if you dare to hurt my descendant's life, I will turn you into ashes. Patriarch Dark Eye growled in a deep voice as a terrifying and brutal aura rushed into Wu Qing City's body. At this moment, Patriarch Dark Eye was like an awakened darkness demon god, looking down at the entire world. The darkness souls in Wu Qing City's body sensed this aura and immediately fell silent. Their skin began to recover. Plop. At this moment, Patriarch Dawn Light, who was standing by the side, sensed this aura and immediately knelt down. Lord Dark Pupil, it's my fault. I didn't expect that this group of darkness souls would actually devour and evolve each other. Now, He knelt beside Forefather Dark Pupil, lowered his head, and said with an extremely unsightly expression. When all the surrounding radiant priests saw Forefather Dawn Light kneeling down, their hearts turned cold. Is there any other way? Forefather Dark Pupil stood there and swept a glance at Forefather Dawn Light, his expression slowly sinking. Unless there's a radiant priest at level 9 of the Insight Void, otherwise, Morning Light Patriarch said with an extremely ugly expression. There was no radiant priest at level 9 of the Insight Void in the entire Transcendence continent. His words made everyone in Wuji Dynasty look extremely ugly. This meant that the Crown Prince of Wuching City was about to fall. The death of the Crown Prince was a major event for the entire Wuji Dynasty. Everyone around them fell silent. Their expressions were ugly. All radiant priests, investigate Qing City. If anyone can cure them, our Wuji Empire will give you whatever you want. At this moment, Patriarch Dark-Eye expressionlessly glanced at all the radiant priests and said coldly. Everyone could feel the faint pressure coming from his body. Some of the weaker ones had cold sweat forming on their foreheads. All the radiant priests hesitated for a moment before taking 2 steps forward. They carefully sized up the Crown Prince of Wuching City who was floating in the air. Big brother. Qing City. The people from Wuji Empire clenched their fists tightly in the surroundings. Their expressions were extremely ugly. Everyone from the He clan and Bingxin Empire looked over in astonishment. They didn't expect that the Crown Prince of Wuji Imperial City of Wuji Empire would actually die in the hands of the Darkness Soul. I want 3 light pearls of the 8th level of the Void Interpretation Stage and 10 light pearls of the 7th level of the Void Interpretation Stage. At this moment, Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings with ease. His gaze landed on Wuqing City as he spoke indifferently. His voice resounded in the ears of everyone around. Chapter 1569. 1569, Title 1569, The Sage. I want 3 level 8 light pearls and 10 level 7 light pearls. When Wang Xian's voice fell, the already silent surroundings became even quieter. Everyone's breathing became slightly sluggish. What? What does he mean? A radiant priest looked over and looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. Everyone from the Wuji Empire also looked at Wang Xian in unison. You have a way to save my brother? Wu Qingyin was the first to react. Her expression changed as she stared at Wang Xian and asked loudly. Yes. Wang Xian looked at Wu Qingyin and nodded his head faintly. How? How is that possible? Our ancestors said that unless a radiant priest at level 9 of the Void Interpretation Stage makes a move, otherwise, how could you? Tian Qingguang, who was at the side, trembled. He stared at Wang Xian in disbelief and growled in a low voice. He could not believe that this fellow could cure a person that even his patriarch could not save. 17 darkness souls have fused into one and reached level 7 of the Void Interpretation Stage. They are expelled from the body of the Crown Prince of Wuching City. They must be eliminated without harming the Crown Prince. A radiant priest at the 8th level of the see-through realm cannot do that unless he is at the 9th level. If he were to attack rashly, he would cause great harm to the Crown Prince. Forefather Chengwang frowned as he looked at Wang Xian. He did not believe that a young man could expel the darkness souls from the body of the Crown Prince of Wuching City, even if he was a monstrous young man. If you are not confident, it is best that you do not attack rashly. He added in the end. All the radiant priests around were also looking at Wang Xian with sparkling eyes. How confident are you? Patriarch of Dark-Eye frowned as he looked at Wang Xian and asked in a deep voice. Just because others can't do it doesn't mean I can't do it. 3 level 8 light pearls and 10 level 7 light pearls. Senior, how about this reward? Wang Xian glanced at the Morning Light Patriarch and said to Dark-Eye Patriarch. All right, if you can really cure Qing City, our Wuji Empire will give you this reward. Dark-Eye Patriarch stared at this somewhat daring young man and nodded his head heavily. All right. Wang Xian smiled and opened his palm. The light dragon pearl appeared in his hand. The luminous dragon pearl had already reached the 7th level of the see-through realm. It was still a long way from the 8th level of the see-through realm. However, it was sufficient to expel the soul of darkness. This is impossible, unless you have reached the 9th level of the see-through realm. However, you are definitely not a radiant priest of the 9th level of the see-through realm. Seeing that Wang Xian had really made his move, Forefather Chengwang's expression changed as he spoke in a low voice. Impossible? Hee hee, a master is a master. Watch carefully and learn from him. Wang Xian said to forefather Qing Wang in a mocking tone as he moved his arm. Roar. A dragon's roar came from the light dragon bead. Following that, the dragon bead slowly transformed into a half-meter-long light divine dragon. The light divine dragon revolved around Wang Xian. Buzz. At this moment, Wang Xian's body was enveloped by a thick light energy. Surrounded by the divine light dragon, he looked holy and noble. He slowly extended his milky white arm. Wuqing City, which was suspended in the air, floated towards him. Roar. The divine light dragon let out a soft roar once again and began to revolve around Wuqing City. What is that? How can it be so agile? At the side, the forefather of the morning light stared at the divine dragon of light with his eyes wide open. His face was filled with astonishment. What a terrifying power of light! 7th level of the see-through realm. Such a young powerhouse at the 7th level of the see-through realm. The surrounding priests of light were also looking at him in shock. Even the forefather of the dark eye was extremely shocked. Whoosh! Wang Xian waved both of his hands, and a pair of jade-like hands of light flew toward Wuqing City. He drew a long gash on his chest. What is he trying to do? His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is of the darkness attribute. He is already very powerful since he didn't suffer any backlash from the dark energy when he cut open his Royal Highness chest. Everyone around them stared at him and discussed in low voices. Roar! 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 At this moment, a dragon's roar that shook the heaven and earth was emitted from the divine light dragon's mouth. A terrifying light power spread out in all directions. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. Be careful. In the Wuji Empire, other than Patriarch Dark Eye and the Elder holding the Dark Staff, everyone else retreated to the rear. They stared at the divine light dragon in fear, their eyes filled with shock. So powerful. That creature that condensed light actually gave me a powerful threat. An expert at the 7th level of the see-through void took a deep breath and said with a twinkling gaze, This? At this moment, the morning light ancestor was completely speechless. He stared at the divine light dragon in disbelief with a twinkling gaze. Buzz. Wang Xian slowly spread his arms. The powerful light force instantly formed a 20-meter-wide domain around him. In this space, everything was bright and nothing else could be seen. Even the Dark Eye Patriarch, who was standing by the side, revealed a hint of surprise in his eyes. His pair of black eyes could not see through this space. Roar! At this moment, the divine light dragon entered the body of Wuqing City. Roar! 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 The moment the divine light dragon entered, the darkness soul inside let out a series of roars. Come here. At this moment, a voice filled with brutality, terror, and command rang in the soul of darkness's ears. Its body trembled as it felt the attraction of its own kind outside. Looking at the divine dragon of light who was competing with it for territory, it hesitated for a moment before flying out. Buzz. The moment the soul of darkness emerged from Wuqing City's body, Wang Xian waved his arm and a pitch-black dragon claw grabbed it. At the location of his heart, a dark dragon head filled with dignity and brutality appeared. Roar! 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 The dragon head opened its mouth and swallowed the terrified soul of darkness. Wang Xian smiled and waved his arm. The divine light dragon flew towards the location of his heart. The healing of the light landed on Wu Qingcheng's chest, and the wound healed immediately. After the dark soul was expelled from Wu Qingcheng's body, his body moved and he slowly opened his eyes. All right, congratulations. I didn't give you face last time. I'll take it as returning it to you this time. I have a black veil heart fruit here. After consuming it, I reckon you should be able to achieve a breakthrough. Wang Xian looked at Wu Qingcheng who had recovered. He waved his arm and the black veil heart fruit landed in front of him as he said faintly. At the same time, the surrounding light energy had completely dissipated, revealing the figures of two people. This? Wu Qingcheng sized up his body and looked at the heart fruit of darkness with a burning gaze. Thank you, Pastor Wang. If it wasn't for you this time, my life would really be in the hands of this group of darkness souls. As he spoke, he bowed deeply to Wang Xian. Chapter 1570. 1570 Title 1570, Under the Sage. Thank you for this heart of darkness. If there is anyone who can use my Wuqing city in the future, I will not decline. Wuqing city continued to speak and bowed heavily to Wang Xian once again. Two sounds of gratitude and two bows. Wuqing city's face was filled with respect and gratitude. However, at this moment, everyone around was staring at this scene in shock. When Wang Xian was shrouded in light, no one could see what was happening inside. All they heard was a majestic roar and a roar. In less than 10 seconds, the crown prince of Wuqing city had recovered. This speed was no different from healing some minor injuries. Qing Cheng, you have completely recovered? Patriarch Dark I had a look of disbelief on his face. He moved and appeared beside Wuqing Cheng. Patriarch, you're worried. I feel like I've completely recovered. Wuqing Cheng looked at the patriarch in front of him and smiled. After being invaded by the darkness, he could still sense the outside world. He could see every move of the outside world clearly. Haha, good. Qing Cheng is lucky. Dark Pupil put his arm on Wu Qingqing's shoulder to sense. When he found that the darkness soul had been removed, he was excited. He patted Wu Qingqing's shoulder heavily and laughed. Haha, it's good that Qingqing is fine. It's good that he is fine. Brother. The elder holding the dark staff ran over with Wu Qingyin and the rest. Their faces were also filled with excitement. Cough, cough. He managed to expel the soul of darkness at the 7th level of the see-through realm so quickly. This is unbelievable. He actually managed to do it. Doesn't that mean that this priest Wang is even stronger than the forefather of the morning light? Around them, the priests of light were staring at Wang Xian with a complicated look on their faces as they gulped. That's impossible. His strength is only at level 7 of the see-through void tier. How could it be? Patriarch of Dawn Light looked at Wang Xian in a daze as his expression kept changing. Thank you, Priest Wang. I really didn't expect you to have such a powerful ability at such a young age. Patriarch Dark Pupil was in a good mood as he said to Wang Xian. Hee. Wang Xian smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Pastor Wang has given me a black veil heart fruit. I reckon that I will be able to achieve a breakthrough soon. Wu Qingcheng looked at Wang Xian and said with a smile. Other than gratitude towards Wang Xian, there was also a hint of admitting defeat in his heart. Such a person was really not someone he could compare to. Pastor Wang, the 3 level 8 light pearls and the 10 level 7 light pearls that you require will be delivered by our Wuji Empire within 3 days. We will not go back on our words. Patriarch Dark I said to Wang Xian. Furthermore, Pastor Wang has saved the life of the crown prince of our Wuji Empire. Our Wuji Empire will not be stingy. Today, as he spoke, his gaze turned to all the pastors of light in front of him. Today, our Wuji Empire will confer the title of Saint of Light to Pastor Wang Xian. All the families of our empire, those with cultivation levels below the 8th rank of the Void Interpretation Realm, will bow and treat you with respect. The last 2 sentences of Patriarch Dark Eye's voice resounded throughout the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. When the surrounding radiant priests heard Patriarch Dark Eye's announcement, their bodies trembled and their eyes widened. Saint of Light, confer the title of Saint. This was the first time among all the radiant priests to be conferred the title of Saint by Wuji Empire. Furthermore, it was the title of Saint. Especially in Wuji Empire, all the powerhouses below level 8 of the see-through void tier had to bow and treat them with respect. This represented a position, an extremely high position. Even in the royal family of Wuji Empire, many people had to address him as the saint. Glory, great glory. Cough, 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 cough. When the forefather of Dawn Light heard these words, he coughed violently twice and looked at Wang Xian with jealousy in his eyes. The Sage of Light, the title conferred by the forefather of Wuji Empire. This title was equivalent to the strongest among the radiant priests. This made the elder of Dawn Light, who was standing at the peak of the radiant priests, feel extremely uncomfortable. It was no exaggeration to say that just the title of the Sage of Light was enough to make him one of the top forces in the vast region. Among the Wuji Empire and all the first-rate forces, he was considered a guest of honor. When Wang Xian heard the title conferred by the Wuji Empire, he smiled nonchalantly. Compared to this title, those pearls of light were what he wanted the most. As long as he obtained those pearls of light, he would be able to completely fuse the heart of light and darkness. However, this title is also very useful. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and noticed that all the priests of light were filled with shock and awe. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This title represented that he stood at the peak of the priests of light and looked down on all the priests of light. Senior, the radiant pearl will be delivered to the Holy Medicine Clinic in 3 days. I will go there to retrieve it, Wang Xian said to Patriarch of Dark Eye. Patriarch of Dark Eye nodded. Wang Xian smiled and walked towards the location of the Bingxin Empire. Sir Sage. He walked forward. Everyone around him quickly made way for him. Some of the priests shouted in a low voice. When he passed by the people from the Divine Light Empire, he paused for a moment and looked at the Qingguang Patriarch and Tian Qingguang. Sir Sage. A few radiant priests who were at level 7 and level 6 of the see-through realm quickly bowed and shouted with an embarrassed expression. Tian Qingguang clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with helplessness as he shouted as well. Now, I have the right to call you trash. Wang Xian took a glance at Tian Qingguang and Forefather Qingguang before walking straight over. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Forefather Qingguang's face was dark and filled with helplessness. He had stood at the peak of his life. He did not expect to be knocked off his pedestal today. In the future, everyone in the world would know that the Saint of Light was number 1. That Saint of Light is walking towards us again. At the location of the Bingxin Empire, when everyone saw Wang Xian walking towards them, they were all astonished. The king of Bingxin's expression changed as well. His gaze landed on Ling Jian'er. His eyes sparkled as he raised his eyebrows. Haha, heroes come from youngsters. Saint, I heard that you have a good relationship with Jian'er. You guys should interact with each other more in the future. Jian'er is my adopted daughter. We welcome the saint to our Bingxin Empire in the future. King Bingxin laughed out loud and said to Wang Xian with a smile. Wang Xian was slightly stunned when he saw King Bingxin's enthusiastic look. His eyes were filled with a smile as he said, I might have to trouble King Bingxin then. No trouble, no trouble. King Bingxin shook his head and looked at Ling Jian'er. Jian'er, you should have a good interaction with Priest Wang in the future, he said with a smile on his face. Obviously, after witnessing the relationship between Wang Xian's strength and the Wuji Empire, he wanted to befriend Wang Xian. As for who he should befriend, he obviously had an opinion. Chapter 1571. 1571 and 1571, there was a girl growing up. Hello, my name is Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at Ling Jian, who was staring at him with a twinkle in her eyes. His face was filled with a smile. He stretched out his hand and placed it in front of Ling Jian. Ling Jian looked at Wang Xian, who was standing in front of her. Looking at his palm, she was a little stunned. The statue that appeared every morning, the image of her when she was in danger in the black screen garden, appeared in her mind one after another. Hello, my name is Bing Jian'er. Ling Jian stretched out her hand and held Wang Xian's hand. After hesitating for a moment, she opened her mouth and said, If you have nothing to do these few days, I can come and look for you, right? Wang Xian looked at Ling Jian and continued with a smile in his eyes. Sure. Ling Jian looked at him, staring at her with a burning gaze. She lowered her head slightly and said softly, All right, I'll see you tomorrow then. Wang Xian smiled and nodded at the king of Bingxin. He then turned around and walked towards the He clan. Haha, Jian'er, you should get along well with the priest of the Sage King in the future, understand? The king of Bingxin was smiling happily from behind. However, the 9th prince, who was standing at the side, looked extremely embarrassed when he heard his father's words. He clenched his fists tightly, and his body was trembling slightly. His eyes were filled with anger and unwillingness. Brother Wang Xian. At this moment, everyone from the He clan looked at Wang Xian, who was walking towards them with a strange expression on their faces. In fact, when the Wuji Empire conferred Wang Xian the title of the Saint of Light, their expressions were extremely strange. Their He clan knew that the sky demon was Wang Xian, a heavenly demon who slaughtered the ancient city of demons and killed 25 experts at level 7 of the see-through realm, was actually conferred the title of saint by the Wuji Empire. Damn it. If others were to know about this, it would probably cause a commotion. The Saint of Light was the heavenly demon. Who could believe it? Unbelievable. However, knowing the truth, they were filled with reverence towards this Wang Xian. Even an expert at level 7 of the see-through realm from the He clan was filled with awe and respect. It was terrifying to think that a person could be the Sage of Light and the heavenly demon. There are some things that happened a few days ago. Let's have a good gathering today. Wang Xian walked over and patted He Yuan on the shoulder. Haha, sure. I really didn't expect Brother Wang Xian to be able to reach such a level. He Yuan laughed out loud as he spoke. The rest of the He clan also came over to greet him. Wang Xian chatted with him for a while before leaving with He Yuan. At this moment, in the vast region, the voice of the patriarch of Wuji Empire shook everyone. Priest Wang was conferred the title of Saint of Light by Wuji Empire. This title was not undeserved. Everyone had to acknowledge the title of being conferred by one of the three major forces. In a few hours, the news of Priest Wang using his powerful light technique to expel the rank 7 insightful void tier darkness soul from the Crown Prince's body spread throughout the entire vast region. Soon after, the news that Priest Wang had the strength of a rank 7 insightful void tier was also spread out. Soon, everyone was in an uproar. Their faces were filled with shock as they discussed animatedly. Rank 7 insightful void tier. That guy is actually a rank 7 insightful void tier. In Soli sect, the two Heaven's Pride experts in heaven and earth had extremely ugly expressions when they heard the news. They looked at each other and clenched their arms with unwillingness. 7th level of the profound void tier, and he was also conferred the title of the Saint of Light by Wuji Empire. With their abilities, there was no way for them to take revenge. Jin you should rest well and get dressed properly tomorrow. Priest Wang might come and look for you. In front of Ling Jian's courtyard, King Bingxin instructed her with a smile. Ling Jian nodded and walked into the courtyard. Father, didn't you say that you wanted to marry Jian to your son? At the side, the 9th prince, Bing Jinghuan, looked at his father unwillingly and said with a trembling body, My son, it's not that father doesn't want to betroth Jian to you. From the looks of it, Jian being able to marry that Priest Wang is the best choice. Not to mention that Priest Wang's strength and potential. Don't forget that one of our forefathers has been invaded by the soul of darkness. If he can be cured, our Bingxin dynasty will have one more peerless expert at the 8th level of the profound void tier. In the future, don't even think about targeting Jian. Be more polite to that Priest Wang. Bingxin King patted Bingjing Huan's shoulder and said earnestly. This caused Bingjing Huan to lower his head, his expression somewhat malevolent. That is the great sage, Priest Wang. It is the great sage, Priest Wang. I heard that he can even expel the soul of darkness of rank 7 of the profound void tier from his body. His light arts are unrivaled. Even the forefather of Dawn Light is inferior to him. He's really amazing. He's already standing at the peak at such a young age. In the future, when he's in the vast region, all the factions will have to be polite to him. The sage looks so approachable. Back then, he saved nearly 100,000 people for free. He's a good person. The next day, when Wang Xian was walking towards the area of the Bingxin Empire, respectful voices could be heard from the surrounding roads. Wang Xian was in a good mood as he smiled and walked straight to the front of Ling Jian's courtyard. Your Highness, the sage, Priest Wang, requests to see you. The maid quickly entered the courtyard and said to Ling Jian, Yes, let him in. Ling Jian walked out of the room with light makeup on. She looked towards the door. Jian Wang Xian smiled and walked over immediately. Ling Jian looked at the handsome Wang Xian and smiled. Young Master Wang, I have a gift for you. Wang Xian walked forward and took out sculptures one by one and handed them to her. Ling Jian looked at the sculptures and smiled. In the morning, when he didn't receive the sculptures at the door, there was an indescribable feeling in his heart. Now that he saw them, his mood was much better. Thank you. Ling Jian took it and sat in front of a stone bench with Wang Xian. They started chatting. Wang Xian and Ling Jian didn't talk about the past. Instead, they used his perfect tongue to talk nonsense. The morning passed very quickly. In the afternoon, Ling Jian wanted to practice her swordsmanship. Wang Xian thickened his skin and didn't leave. He sat there and watched Ling Jian practice her swordsmanship. When he saw her swordsmanship, he had an idea and called Ao Jian over. Ao Jian practiced the heartless sword principle. Now that he could kill a level 6 see-through void martial artist, his swordsmanship was much better than Ling Jian's. With Ao Jian's guidance, Ling Jian was delighted. She thanked Wang Xian many times. This made him very happy. It wouldn't be long before Ling Jian was taken care of by him. For the next 2 days, Wang Xian spent all his time with Ling Jian during the day. At first, she was still not used to it. However, under Wang Xian's thick skin, she quickly got used to it. Furthermore, her mood was much more cheerful. Her relationship with Wang Xian had improved tremendously every day. Naturally, Wang Xian didn't want Ling Jian to look cold. He teased and teased her every day, which changed Ling Jian's character a lot. Chapter 1572. 1572 and 1572. A girl was growing up. Sir Sage, Your Highness, there's someone outside who wants to see you. 4 days later, in the morning, a maid came to the courtyard and reported to Wang Xian and Ling Jian. Who is it? Ling Jian looked at the maid and asked. They are here to look for Sir Sage. They want him to help them expel the dark soul from their bodies. They said that they will pay a high price. The maid replied. Wang Xian, it's for you. Ling Jian looked at Wang Xian and said, Tell them to look for me at night. They don't have time during the day. Wang Xian smiled at Ling Jian and said to the maid, Why don't you have time during the day? Ling Jian looked at him and said, Of course, it's to accompany our beautiful Jian Wang Xian said with a smile. Nonsense again. Ling Jian rolled her eyes at him. Aren't you fast at treating them? You can treat them here. It's all right. I have time at night too. I can't let others disturb our private time. Wang Xian took a sip of the tea on the table and said with a smile. It's all right. I still want to see how you treat others. Last night, the emperor came to me and asked if you could help an elder of the Bingxin Empire expel the dark soul in his body. Ling Jian said to Wang Xian. Oh, is that so? Then tell the king of Bingxin that I will definitely do my best. Wang Xian said with a smile. The king of Bingxin was very good at doing things. Even if he were to treat the elders of the Bingxin Empire for free, it wouldn't be a big deal. All right, I will inform the emperor. Ling Jian nodded her head. Now, she was, after all, a member of the Bingxin Empire. She was also the disciple of the patriarch of the Bingxin Empire and the adopted daughter of the emperor. Let them in. Wang Xian said directly to the maidservant. It's the sage. The maidservant nodded her head and walked out. The sage. Soon, many middle-aged elders walked over. They looked at Wang Xian and cupped their hands respectfully. Wang Xian's gaze swept past them and landed on an elder beside him. The elder was extremely weak and exuded a deathly stillness. Clearly, he had been invaded by the soul of darkness for a long time. He has the strength of a 7th-level void interpretation. As long as the reward is sufficient, I can expel the soul of darkness from his body. Wang Xian said directly. Sir Sage, do you think these rewards are feasible? An elder threw an interspatial ring over and said to Wang Xian. I still have a hairpin of the 6th level of the void interpretation realm here. Hee hee, I'll give it to this lady. A middle-aged man hesitated for a moment before taking out a golden hairpin. He walked to Ling Jian's side and said with a smile, Hee hee, all right. You guys wait outside. I'll be able to get rid of the dark soul in his body very soon. Wang Xian laughed out loud and said directly to them, Yes, yes. Thank you, sage. Thank you. The group of middle-aged elders nodded their heads excitedly and waited outside. This is for you. Ling Jian looked at the hairpin in her hand and quickly placed it beside Wang Xian. Why are you giving it to me? I don't carry a girl's hairpin. You can take it. Wang Xian smiled and waved his arm. The hairpin was inserted directly into her hair. Humph. This made Ling Jian snort softly. However, her eyes were filled with joy. Clearly, she looked like a young girl in love. Buzz. At this moment, the luminous dragon bead flew out from Wang Xian's body and enveloped the old man. Wang Xian had already received the bunch of luminous pearls sent by the Wuji Empire and had them absorbed by the luminous dragon bead. Before long, the luminous dragon pearl would be able to evolve to the 8th level of the see-through realm. The darkness soul in the old man's body was only at the 6th level of the see-through realm. With his strength, he could easily get rid of it. Very soon, the old man, who was filled with the aura of death, regained a lot of his vitality. Thank you, sage. Thank you. The old man sensed the rich vitality in his body and revealed an excited expression. He quickly sensed it. There's no need. I've already received the reward. Let's go. Wang Xian said with a smile. You're really amazing. Ling Jian's eyes sparkled when she saw Wang Xian heal a person with a wave of his hand. She said with a smile. Haha, of course. Wang Xian laughed out loud as he patted his chest. Ling Jian rolled her eyes at him. Not long after, a few more groups of people came to seek the removal of the dark soul in his body. Wang Xian easily healed it and received a lot of rewards. It seems that many people know that I can remove the soul of darkness. There will probably be more people coming in the next few days. Give it to Jian. This is a spiritual herb of the 6th level of the void interpretation realm. It has a metal attribute and is very beneficial to your cultivation. In the evening, Wang Xian looked at the spiritual herb beside him and passed it to Ling Jian. I don't want it. You've already given me a lot of things. Ling Jian shook her head and turned her back to him. What's mine is yours. Take it if you want it. Wang Xian smiled and placed the spiritual herb directly on her head. He smiled and said, not bad. It's pretty. You're looking for a beating? Ling Jian quickly took it off and glared at him. Haha, what's wrong, Jian? Did Priest Wang make you unhappy? At this moment, King Bingxin's loud laughter came from outside. Ling Jian's face was slightly red. She hurriedly stood up and looked towards the door. Your Majesty. Haha, all right, Jian, you sit. Priest Wang, sorry to disturb you. King Bingxin smiled and waved at Ling Jian. Bing Jinghuan, who was beside him, clenched his fists tightly when he saw Ling Jian's slightly red and alluring face. I won't disturb you. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. His gaze swept across an old man beside King Bingxin. King Bingxin, does this senior need some treatment? Priest Wang is really smart. I wonder if Priest Wang is confident. King Bingxin's eyes were burning with passion as he asked hurriedly. The old man was also looking at Wang Xian with excitement. This senior's situation is similar to that of Wuqing City. We can resolve it now. Wang Xian smiled and said directly. Then I shall trouble you, Priest Wang. Thank you so much. Our patriarch has been invaded by the darkness. Although he didn't lose his mind, he has been suppressing it in his body and his strength has been greatly reduced. If Pastor Wang can cure him, our Bingxin Empire will be eternally grateful. The king of Bingxin said excitedly. You don't have to be so polite. Wang Xian shook his head and walked to the side of the old man immediately. He began to remove the darkness soul in his body. Thank you, little brother. The old man nodded at Wang Xian with a smile on his face. You're welcome. To Wang Xian, Dealing with the soul of darkness at the 7th level of the void interpretation realm was very easy. In less than 2 minutes, it was easily eliminated. This caused the king of Bingxin to be endlessly grateful. Wang Xian did not charge him any fees and chatted for a while with a smile. On the other hand, the old man from the Bingxin Empire went back to cultivate excitedly to recover his strength. Chapter 1573 1573 on the betrayal of the Bingxin Empire. When Wang Xian cured a few powerhouses who were invaded by the soul of darkness, especially after curing the ancestors of the Bingxin Empire, the name of the Saint of Light was even more resounding. If the name of the saint was conferred by the Wuji Empire in the beginning, it was now publicly acknowledged. After staying in Lingjian Er's courtyard for 7 to 8 days, the relationship between Wang Xian and her increased daily. Now, they could already have some intimate little moves. This made Wang Xian very happy. In the past few days, the relationship between the Bingxin Empire and Wang Xian was also very good. The king of Bingxin even vaguely revealed that he could marry Lingjian to Wang Xian. I've made a breakthrough. I've finally made a breakthrough. On the afternoon of the 10th day, Wang Xian and Ao Jian stood in the courtyard and looked at Lingjian who was getting up. She looked at Wang Xian with excitement and shouted happily. After absorbing the sword heart grass and the various spiritual herbs and elixirs that Wang Xian had given her for the past 10 days, her strength had broken through to the 3rd level of the see-through realm. Once she broke through to the 3rd level of the see-through realm, she could kill an expert at the 4th level of the see-through realm. Her strength had achieved a qualitative improvement. It was not an exaggeration to say that Ling Jian Er's current strength and talent were unrivaled in the entire vast region. Even Wuqing City, Nangang Wudi, and the 2 heavens favorites from the Solitaire sect were no match for Ling Jian Er. Congratulations to our Jian for her great increase in strength. Wang Xian walked over with a smile on his face and patted her head. HMPH, put your hand down. Ling Jian glared at him, but her eyes were filled with a smile. The Emperor wants me to participate in the Solitaire sect's martial arts competition tomorrow. If I win, I will be able to obtain a lot of resources and become famous. The unique martial arts competition organized by the unique sect? If you want to participate, just do it. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and said directly, Yes, my master also wants me to participate. If I can obtain good results, it will be beneficial to our Bingxin Empire. Ling Jian nodded. With your strength, Jian you will definitely be able to suppress the entire arena. No one is your match. Wang Xian smiled at her and said, HMPH, that's right. I will definitely get first place. Ling Jian raised her head with a smile and said confidently, In the future, a swordswoman will appear in the vast region. Wang Xian said with a smile. He looked at the time and said, I will go back first. I will look for you tomorrow morning. Okay. Ling Jian nodded and watched Wang Xian leave. The next morning, when Wang Xian arrived in front of Ling Jian Er's courtyard, he found dozens of young men from the Bingxin Empire gathered there. Sir Sage. Sir Sage. When they saw Wang Xian coming over, everyone shouted at him respectfully. Now, everyone in the Bingxin Empire knew that Wang Xian had saved the patriarch of the Bingxin Empire. In addition to his powerful strength, no one dared not to treat him respectfully. Even the 9th prince, Bing Jinghuan, lowered his head with an awkward expression and greeted Wang Xian when he saw him. Yes? Wang Xian nodded at them with a smile. Wang Xian. Ling Jian walked over and shouted at Wang Xian with a smile. Yes, are all of you going to participate? Wang Xian looked at the group of young people from the Bingxin Empire and asked with a smile. Some of you are going to participate. Let's go. Let's hurry over. Ling Jian nodded and urged him. All right. All right. The Bingxin Empire had a closer relationship with the Solitaire sect, and they respected the Solitaire sect. All the young people could participate in the Solitaire martial arts competition. If they performed well in the competition, they would be accepted into the Solitaire sect. Every year, tens of thousands of youths would try their best to join the sect. Once they joined such a large sect, no one would dare to offend them in the vast region. Priest Wang. When they had not gone far, a voice sounded. Everyone from the Ice Heart dynasty was slightly shocked when they heard this voice and quickly looked over. Your Highness the Crown Prince. Everyone's expression changed slightly as they immediately shouted respectfully. Wu Qing City. Wang Xian looked over. It seems like you have completely recovered. I have to thank you, Pastor Wang. I'm here to thank you personally. Wu Qing City spoke with great respect. He walked over with a smile on his face. There's no need to thank me. I've received a lot of rewards. Wang Xian smiled. It's different. If it weren't for you, my life would be over. Where are you going, Pastor Wang? Wu Qingcheng shook his head and said, Jian is participating in the exclusive martial arts competition of the Solitaire sect. That's why I'm accompanying her. Wang Xian said with a smile. Haha, Pastor Wang, you're really a good man. I originally wanted to thank you today. Since that's the case, don't mind if I go with you guys to take a look. Wu Qingcheng smiled. Sure. Wang Xian looked at Ling Jian and nodded. All right. Wu Qingcheng walked over with a smile and started a simple conversation with Wang Xian and Ling Jian. Behind him, a group of young men from the Icy Heart Empire watched this scene in awe. Even the crown prince of the Wu Ji Empire was so respectful to Priest Wang. One could imagine his current status. He kept walking in the direction of the Solitaire sect. Numerous mountains appeared in his line of sight. The Solitaire sect was located in a mountain peak in the base of the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. The Solitaire sect occupies the best part of the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. There is a powerful formation left behind by the Divine Kingdom, such as long-distance teleportation. As they approached the mountains, Wu Qing City spoke to Wang Xian. Long-distance teleportation. What kind of formation is this? Wang Xian looked at him curiously. Long-distance teleportation. It's even more powerful than the teleportation of a longevity-level powerhouse. Through long-distance teleportation, one can instantly travel tens of thousands of kilometers. This is a formation left behind from the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. Only my sect is lucky enough to occupy it. Wu Qingcheng said with some envy. That's the crown prince of Wu Qing City. Why is he here? Look at the young man next to him. He's Priest Wang of the Sage. Oh my God. I heard that the Sage likes a princess of the Bingxin Empire. The Bingxin Empire has struck it rich this time. As they continued walking in, more and more people gathered. When they saw Wang Xian and Wu Qing City, they were all shocked. The name of the Saint of Light had spread across the entire vast region. They continued to walk in and entered the valley. Around them, there were many young men who had rushed over from other places. There were many of them, more than 100,000 of them. However, there were only about 10,000 of them who were qualified to participate in the competition. It's right in front. That's the supreme stage. After walking for about 10 kilometers, they arrived at the center of the two mountain peaks. In front of them, there were tall stages. On both sides of the arenas, there were two stone pillars that were 500 meters tall. One on the left and one on the right. Each of them wrote, "In heaven and on earth, only I am supreme." Chapter 1574. 1574. In the midst of the Ice Heart Empire's betrayal, in the heavens and the earth, only I reign supreme. How domineering. In the surroundings, some of the youths who had come to the ruins of the Solitaire sect's Divine Kingdom for the first time looked at the two stone pillars that were 500 meters tall with faces full of shock. The 8 large words on them were filled with wildness and wildness. They contained an aura of only I reign supreme. Ninth Prince, Princess Jian Sir Sage, let's go and register first. At the back, more than a dozen young men walked forward and spoke to Wang Xian and the rest. They immediately walked in. For this martial arts competition, anyone under the age of 150 can participate. However, the competition is divided into 2 zones. One is a young man under the age of 50, and the other is above the age of 50. Those at the insightful void level can skip the earlier stages of the competition and participate in the later stages of the competition directly. Ling Jian explained to Wang Xian from the side. All right, let's go in and take a look. Wang Xian nodded his head. He looked at his surroundings with a curious expression and walked in. The martial arts competition that was held once every 2 years by the Solitaire sect was definitely not something that could be compared to the selection of disciples from some empires or second-rate forces. As one of the 3 super forces in the vast region, the competition venue was extremely grand. In the middle of 2 mountains that were 4,000 to 5,000 meters tall, there were many arenas floating in the sky. There were more than 10,000 arenas around them. At the front, there were many huge seats floating in the sky. Come, let's fly over to the front. The 9th prince's expression was not too good. He squeezed out a smile and said to Wang Xian and the rest, Okay. The group of people from the Bingxin Empire flew over and headed to the front. As the Bingxin Empire was closer to the Solitaire sect, their position was at the right of the Solitaire sect. The group of people flew over. Wang Xian, Ling Jian Wu Qingchang, and the rest sat in the center while Bing Jinghuan sat at the side with a gloomy face. Looking over, there were many young men filled with fighting spirit in the huge arena. Boom, 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 boom. Not long after they sat down, terrifying auras rushed over from afar. Feeling the overwhelming aura, the hundreds of thousands of people around quieted down. Everyone looked over in awe. Hundreds of figures flew over quickly. The 2 elders in the lead were at the 7th level of the profound void tier, and the 2 elders of the Solitaire sect. Around them were deacons and disciples. There were disciples participating in the competition as well as disciples watching the battle. The most eye-catching ones were the 3 people beside the 2 elders. 2 of them were the 2 peerless heavens favorites of Solitaire. In the center of them was a middle-aged man. Compared to the 2 heavens and earth's favorites who wore golden crowns, the middle-aged man in the center was even more high-profile. He had a handsome face, long hair, and a resplendent crown on his head. In the center of the crown, there were 4 resplendent golden words, Supreme Heaven. He looked down arrogantly in front of him, as if he didn't care about this world. The middle-aged man in the middle of the 2 heavens favorites is called Aotion. He is the son of the supreme leader of our sect. He is in his 130s and has the cultivation of the 5th level of the see-through void tier. He is highly regarded by the powerhouses of our sect. There is a high possibility that he could reach the 9th level of the see-through void tier. Wu Qingcheng saw Wang Xian looking at the middle-aged man and whispered to him, Oh, he is only at the 5th level of the see-through void tier in his 130s. He is even weaker than you. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, Hee, of course, he can't be compared to Priest Wang and us. Wu Qingcheng smiled. His current strength had already broken through to level 4 of the see-through realm. He was extremely confident that he would be able to break through to level 1 or even level 2 in the next few decades. The members of the solipsistic sect flew towards the seats that were floating in the air at the front. The crown prince of Wuqing City from Wuji Empire is here. Aotion, go and entertain him. 2 elders of the 7th level of the see-through realm sat in the middle. One of the elders scanned the area and immediately sent a voice transmission to Aotion when he realized that Wuqing City was here. The one beside him should be Priest Wang, who is currently in the limelight. Go and greet him too. The other elder looked over and shifted his gaze to Wang Xian. Oh, Wuqing City is here, and the Saint of Light? Aotion, who was emitting a domineering aura, looked over. His eyes were sparkling. Let's go and pay our respects. He swept his gaze across the 2 heavens pride experts in the sky and earth beside him and said faintly, The Crown Prince of Wuji Empire and the Saint of Light who was at level 7 of the see-through void stage. Even Ao Shiling Yuan from their sect would follow the proper etiquette. That damn guy. When the 2 heavens pride experts saw Wang Xian, hatred appeared on their faces. If you have the ability, you can kill Priest Wang directly. If you don't have the ability, forget it. Aotion sensed the anger of the 2 heavens pride experts and said calmly, Senior brother, We know that one day, we will kill him. The two heavens favorites took a deep breath and hid their killing intent as they spoke in a deep voice. Okay. Aotian nodded his head. His figure moved as he looked at Wang Xian and Wu Qing City. Priest Wang, Wu Qing City. I didn't expect the two of you to come to our exclusive venue. Aotian had a faint smile on his face as he shouted at them. The Crown Prince of Wu Qing City is here? The sage is here too? There. I didn't expect the Crown Prince and Priest Wang to be here. Everyone around was slightly shocked and quickly looked over. When they saw their figures, their faces were filled with respect and reverence. Hee, accompany Priest Wang to take a look. Wu Qingcheng saw them flying over and stood up with a smile. This must be Pastor Wang Xian of the Saint of Light. I've heard so much about him. Aotian sized up Wang Xian and said faintly, I've heard so much about you. Wang Xian also looked at him and said faintly, Haha, I've heard so much about you. I hope Pastor Wang won't bully my junior brothers. As Aotian spoke, he glanced at the two heavens pride experts beside him. I won't offend anyone if they don't offend me. I don't have the habit of provoking others. Wang Xian smiled. HMPH, just you wait. One day, we will use your blood to avenge ourselves. When the two heavens pride experts heard Wang Xian's words, the killing intent in their eyes was completely released. They growled coldly in a low voice. Wang Xian could feel the killing intent from their bodies. His pupils contracted slightly as he looked at Aotian indifferently. Your junior brother is courting death. A warning sounded, causing everyone from the Bingxin Empire to hold their breaths. Bing Jinghuan's eyes flickered. Aotian also contracted slightly when he heard Wang Xian's question. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. Aotian, are you bringing people here to cause trouble? Is this the way of treating guests of your only sect? Wu Qingcheng looked at this scene and said with a faint frown. Chapter 1575. 1575, under the betrayal of the 1575 Iceheart dynasty. Haha, we will naturally treat our friends well. However, if they are not friends... Aotian squinted his eyes and looked at Wang Xian when he heard Wu Qingcheng's words. He laughed and did not finish his sentence. As the most outstanding son of the supreme leader of the only sect and the future supreme leader of the only sect, only a few people from the Wuji dynasty and the southern royal family could really catch his attention in the entire vast region. He didn't care about anyone else, even Priest Wang, who was currently in the limelight in the vast region. In the vast region, no matter how monstrous he was, he couldn't defeat the solipsistic sect. Is it Priest Wang? Aotian looked at Wang Xian and asked faintly in the end. I agree with what you said. Friends have wine and meat. Enemies have swords. Wang Xian looked at Aotian with a smile on his face. Aotian, the match is about to start. Don't disturb us from watching the match. Wu Qingcheng, who was at the side, sensed a hint of anger from Wang Xian and said to Aotian immediately. Good. Aotian stared at Wang Xian with a wicked smile on his lips. He looked at Wu Qingcheng and flew straight ahead. Aotian is as arrogant as his name suggests. He doesn't put anyone in his eyes. In fact, everyone in our sect is unlikable. They act like I'm the best in the world. Priest Wang, it's best if you don't get into a big conflict with them. As long as you don't offend them completely, Aotian won't be able to do anything to you. Seeing Aotian leave, Wu Qingcheng reminded Wang Xian softly. Don't worry, I won't offend anyone if they don't offend me. Wang Xian smiled at Wu Qingcheng. Aotian didn't put him in his eyes. Naturally, he didn't put Aotian in his eyes either. Unless someone was stronger than him, no one had the right to be arrogant with him. That Priest Wang is indeed as arrogant as the rumors say. Aotian returned to his seat in the void. His gaze swept across Wang Xian as he spoke with a cold expression. He doesn't even put senior brother in his eyes. This fellow, the two heavens pride experts in the sky and on the ground looked at him with murderous intent as they growled in a low voice. All right, this fellow is very strong and has been conferred the title of the Saint of Light by the Wuji Empire. We can't do anything to him for the time being. Aotion glanced at the two of them with a cold expression as he looked towards the direction of the arena with an expressionless face. Even if he was the most outstanding son of the supreme leader of the only sect, it was impossible for him to mobilize a level 8 see-through void martial artist to kill a level 7 see-through void martial artist, unless the other party harmed the only sect or killed the disciples of the only sect. When the two Heaven's favorites saw Aotion's cold expression, they quickly shut up and sat there with a gloomy face. When Aotion came to talk to Wang Xian and the rest, the competition on the arena had already begun. 20 arenas and 40 people were fighting at the same time. Wang Xian didn't have much interest in watching the battles on the arena. A battle between cultivators below the void interpretation stage was no different from a battle between children. However, what surprised Wang Xian was that the arena where the lone tyrant was fighting was much more bloody than some ordinary battles. In the first round of the 40-man competition, 5 people were killed on the spot. If you find it boring, let's go out for a walk. You can come back when I'm in the arena. After watching for the entire morning, Ling Jian noticed that Wang Xian was not in the mood. She said to him with a smile on her face, "All right. By the way, we haven't walked around the ruins of the Kingdom of God yet." Wang Xian nodded immediately and said with a smile, "Oh, Priest Wang, do you guys want to go for a stroll? I'll treat you guys to a meal then. You guys can have fun in the afternoon. I won't be a third wheel anymore." Wu Qingcheng heard their conversation and said with a smile, "All right." Wang Xian looked at Ling Jian and nodded. "Let's go." The three of them left the competition venue and flew towards the outside. At the back, Bing Jinghuan clenched his fists tightly when he saw Ling Jian and Wang Xian leaving. After Wang Xian and the rest left, Wu Qingcheng brought the two of them to the most famous restaurant in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. The three of them had lunch together. More than an hour later, Wang Xian and Ling Jian left alone. Wu Qingcheng frowned and knocked on the table as he watched Wang Xian and Ling Jian leave. "Uncle Jing, what do you think of this Priest Wang?" he asked curiously. "Crown Prince, it's hard to say how many, but this young man is not afraid of anyone." Beside Wu Qingcheng, a voice rang out. "That's right. This Priest Wang is good in every way, but he doesn't know how to fear. Forget it. As long as he doesn't provoke the Lone Sect and the Southern Royal Family, I will lend a hand when he is in danger in the future. It can be considered as repaying him for saving his life." Wu Qingcheng shook his head and got up to leave. After spending the afternoon with Ling Jian in some famous places in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom and sending him back to his residence, Wang Xian turned around and left. "Priest Wang, right?" At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Wang Xian, causing his pupils to constrict slightly. It was an old man, a stooped old man. He was holding a black magic staff in his hand. He looked no different from an ordinary old man. However, his sudden appearance in front of Wang Xian before Wang Xian could even sense him proved that this stooped old man was not simple. "This old man, what's the matter?" Wang Xian's eyes revealed a hint of seriousness as he sized him up and asked. "I heard that Priest Wang is able to expel the soul of darkness, so I would like to ask for his help." The stooped old man stared at Wang Xian and said faintly, "Expel the soul of darkness? As long as there is sufficient reward, I will naturally do my best." Wang Xian looked at the old man and said with a smile, "The reward is a little hard to come by now. After you are cured, I will compensate you." The old man said calmly, "Compensate? Old man, how can such a good thing happen?" Wang Xian shook his head in amusement and walked straight ahead. "Then I have no choice but to offend you." The hunchbacked old man shook his head and appeared beside Wang Xian in a flash. His pair of skeletal claws clawed at Wang Xian's shoulder. "Pa, old man, this is not how you seek medical treatment. Do you believe that I can immediately detonate the darkness soul in your body?" A ferocious dragon claw grabbed onto the old man's arm. The powerful force caused the old man's arm to tremble slightly. Wang Xian looked at the incredulous look on the old man's face and said mockingly, You are not at level 7 of the void interpretation stage." The old man stared at Wang Xian with his turbid eyes. Get lost. Wang Xian shouted coldly. A white light flashed sharply on his pair of dragon claws. In an instant, the old man's expression changed drastically. His pupils revealed a look of horror. The next moment, he couldn't help but spit out a large mouthful of blood. His body started to tremble violently. Chapter 1576. 1576, 1576. You. What did you do to me? You actually broke the energy that was suppressing the dark soul in my body, you. The stooped old man's face was pale as he stared at Wang Xian in fear. His body trembled as he spoke. Be a good cripple. Wang Xian took a glance at the stooped old man. His arm returned to its human form and gave him a gentle push. The hunchbacked old man staggered and fell to the ground at the side. His face was filled with panic. No, no. Pastor Wang, save me, save me. The hunchbacked old man watched Wang Xian leave and became completely flustered. He shouted at Wang Xian with a face full of fear. However, Wang Xian ignored him and walked into the distance. A powerhouse who was invaded by the soul of darkness came to him for treatment. He even wanted to use force. Wang Xian naturally wouldn't let him off easily. The soul of darkness that was suppressed in his body was directly knocked away by Wang Xian. If the soul of darkness were to crash into his body again, the old man would become a cripple. However, this old ancestor's strength was once at the peak of the 8th level of the see-through void tier. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. He did not kill the old man because of this. Save me, save me. The hunchbacked old man roared with a face full of pain. His face was extremely ferocious. He felt a little regretful. Why did he have to use force? Now that he couldn't act cool, he was killed instead. 8th level of the void interpretation stage. 8th level of the void interpretation stage. With his strength, he can definitely get rid of the dark soul in my body and return me to my peak. No, no. As the hunchbacked old man spoke, he gritted his teeth and wanted to chase after Wang Xian's figure. However, Wang Xian's figure had already disappeared. This made him stand there in despair. His body was trembling nonstop. Pastor Wang, save me. Please save me. It was my fault yesterday. Please. The next day, when Wang Xian arrived in front of Ling Jian Er's courtyard, the old man from yesterday ran over and pleaded in fear and trepidation. You're still waiting here. This means that you're not from a big faction. Are you alone? No matter who you are, you'd better not bother me. Otherwise, I won't have any scruples even if I kill you. Wang Xian glanced at the old man coldly. Asking you to show off yesterday and threaten me with force? In the past, you were at least a peerless powerhouse at level 8 of the see-through void tier. Now? Wang Xian shook his head in disdain and came to Ling Jian Er's courtyard. For the next 2 days, Wang Xian and Ling Jian visited some scenic spots in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. The two of them seemed to have become a couple. On the 4th day, Ling Jian Er's turn came for the solitaire martial arts competition of the solitaire sect. The solitaire martial arts competition would select the first and second peerless Heaven's favorites under the age of 50 and be conferred the title of Heaven's and Earth's 2 Heaven's favorites. The current Heaven's and Earth's young masters were the previous Heaven's favorites. However, the current Heaven's and Earth's 2 Heaven's favorites had occupied this title for more than a decade. With the strength of Heaven's and Earth's young masters, unless they were over the age of 50, no one would be able to defeat them. However, it was not necessarily the case for this competition. Wang Xian sat on the spectator stand and watched Ling Jian Er's battle with the young man at the 2nd level of the Insight Void stage with a smile on his face. This young man was a disciple of the solipsistic sect. With his strength at the 2nd level of the see-through realm, he was equivalent to the number 1 person under the heaven and earth. In the arena, he stared at Ling Jian coldly and looked down arrogantly. Under the orders of his 2 senior brothers in heaven and earth, he would make this girl extremely embarrassed in this battle. Begin. The deacon at the side shouted softly and announced the start of the competition. Bing Jianer, right? Wait a moment. I will. Whoosh. That disciple originally wanted to use words to humiliate Ling Jian, but he did not expect that the other party's golden light would directly attack him. Looks like I have to teach you a good lesson. Seeing that the golden light was attacking him, that disciple raised his palm with a cold expression. A huge green palm directly attacked the golden light. Pooh pooh pooh. However, the golden light easily pierced through the green palm and continued to attack the disciple. What? The disciple's expression changed. He waved his hand and a gust of green wind surrounded his body as he dodged to the side. So. However, at this moment, the golden light split open and instantly struck the disciple. Ah! A miserable cry came from the disciple's mouth. What? He killed senior brother Lai Feng in one move. That Bing Jian ER's strength is so terrifying. My God! He killed her in one move. How is this possible? Could it be that Bing Jian has the cultivation of the third level of the profound void martial stage? What a terrifying woman. Is there going to be a change in the heaven and earth's prodigies this year? When Ling Jian easily defeated the two heaven and earth's prodigies, everyone had shocked expressions on their faces. Another peerless prodigy had risen. How is this possible? She is so powerful. On the stage at the very front, when the two heaven and earth's prodigies saw that Ling Jian had actually killed Lai Feng in an instant, their expressions were incomparably grave. Lai Feng's strength was only one level lower than theirs, yet he was actually killed in an instant. Even they couldn't kill him so easily. So strong. This woman is really a strange woman. Ao Tian's gaze flickered as he looked at Ling Jian, his eyes filled with shock. This Bing Jian seems to have a very good relationship with that priest Wang, right? Ao Tian slightly narrowed his eyes and said indifferently, It's senior brother. It's this girl. She's the last disciple of the patriarch of the Bingxin dynasty, the adopted daughter of the Bingxin king. That priest Wang has been pursuing her. I heard that priest Wang came to the vast area for her. We wanted to let Lai Feng teach Bing Jian a lesson and embarrass that priest Wang, but we didn't expect. The two heavens' favorites in the sky and on the ground spoke in a low voice, their faces filled with embarrassment. A heaven's favorite. In the entire vast region, there isn't such an outstanding heaven's favorite. Moreover, she's a virgin. TSK. Ao Tian's eyes flickered as he looked at Ling Jian with a hint of greed and possessiveness in his eyes. As the supreme force of the only sect, the son of the only sect leader, he had seen too many beautiful women. In his eyes, beautiful women were just playthings that were slightly beautiful. However, this Ling Jian was different. Only such a beauty can be worthy of me. Ao Tian mumbled softly. His gaze swept across Wang Xian, who was sitting on the seat, and the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. Call Bing Jinghuan from the Bingxin Empire over. Ao Tian said plainly to the two heavens' favorites in the sky and earth beside him. The two of them were stunned when they heard Ao Tian's words. Their faces were filled with shock. Then, their eyes lit up. Yes, it's senior brother. Only such a heaven's favorite is worthy of senior brother. That priest Wang, what right does he have to compare with you? As the two of them spoke, they moved and flew towards Bing Jinghuan. Chapter 1577 1577 1577 We pay our respects to young Master Ao Tian. In front of the empty seats in front of the competition, Bing Jinghuan followed behind the two heavens' favorites and bowed respectfully to Ao Tian. Just the two heavens' favorites were enough to make him bow and scrape, let alone Ao Tian, the son of the supreme headmaster of our sect. Ao Tian sat on the chair and glanced at Bing Jinghuan. His gaze landed on Ling Jian, who flew out from the arena. Your Bing Jian from the Bing Xian Empire is very good. He was not stingy with his praise and his face was full of smiles. Bing Jinghuan was slightly stunned when he heard Ao Tian's words. He immediately squeezed out a smile. She is very strong. Even I am not her match now. When he saw Ao Tian staring at Bing Jian's figure, he suddenly had a guess. He was slightly shocked and his eyes were shining. I used to like Bing Jian, but father now wants to set her up with that priest Wang. He pursed his lips and stopped. A priest of light is not worthy of such a proud daughter. Aotian said indifferently. This is also arranged by my imperial father. I have no choice. Bing Jinghuan lowered her head slightly and said bitterly. The light in her eyes was somewhat dazzling. Bing Jinghuan, go and tell your imperial father that I have taken a liking to that Bing Jian lady. I will ask my father to propose marriage to your Ice Heart Empire. As Aotian said this, a smile appeared on his face. Such a proud daughter of the heavens can only be worthy of me, Aotian. As soon as he finished speaking, a strong sense of self-confidence and an aura of superiority emanated from his body. Bing Jinghuan took 2 steps back due to the impact of his aura. His expression changed slightly, and he quickly nodded. It's young Master Aotian. I will go back immediately and pass your message to father. As he spoke, his gaze shifted to the back. Seeing how intimate Wang Xian and Ling Jian were, he was filled with jealousy. If I can't get it, don't even think about getting it. I'll see what you can do about the person that young Master Aotian wants. His expression was ferocious as he roared in his heart. A twisted smile appeared on his face. Bing Jinghuan's figure moved, and he immediately flew towards the location of the Bingxin Empire. Jian, it looks like you will be the first place in this competition. Wang Xian looked at Ling Jian, and said with a smile on his face. Of course. I will let you see it during the finals tomorrow. I will definitely be the most dazzling one here. Ling Jian raised her head slightly and said proudly, All right, when you win, I will give you a gift and a surprise. Wang Xian stroked her head lovingly and said happily. After spending the past few days together, Ling Jian's heart clearly belonged to him. As long as he wanted to confess, given her current character, she would definitely not reject him. All right, I'll be waiting for your gift and surprise. Ling Jian's face was filled with joy as she nodded. The two of them walked out on foot. That Bing Jian from the Ice Heart Empire's strength is really terrifying. Why don't you take a look at whose woman that is? It's the woman of the Saint of Light, the priest of the Sage King. She has all sorts of cultivation resources and can be compared to a core disciple of a super faction. Priest Wang is also a monstrous existence. Bing Jian is naturally not too far off. A match made in heaven, a perfect match. As the two of them walked on the road, the discussions of other young men could be heard from time to time. Ling Jian did not get angry when she heard these voices. Instead, she was secretly delighted. Wang Xian was in a good mood when he saw her expression. However, what Wang Xian and Ling Jian did not expect was that Bing Jinghuan was standing in front of the king of Bingxin Empire in a room in the Bingxin Empire complex. In the room, apart from the king of Bingxin, there were 2 other elders. Sitting in the middle was an energetic white-haired elder. The elder seemed to be in a good mood. Jinghuan, why are you in such a hurry to come over? What's the matter? The king of Bingxin looked at Bing Jinghuan and asked curiously. Father, Ancestor, it's young Master Aotian who asked me to come over. There's something he wants me to tell father. Bing Jinghuan lowered his head and said respectfully, Young Master Aotian, what is it? The king of Bingxin immediately asked in surprise. Young Master Aotian has taken a fancy to junior sister Jian. He asked me to tell you that soon, he will ask the Supreme Headmaster to propose marriage to our Bingxin dynasty. Bing Jinghuan pursed his lips and said, What? Bingxin King was slightly stunned, his face full of astonishment. The 2 old men beside him also slightly raised their eyebrows, full of surprise. Today, junior sister Jian killed a disciple of the 2nd rank of the Profound Void Sect in one move. With her strength, I'm afraid that she is not even as good as the 2 heavens favorites in the sky and the earth. In addition, junior sister Jian is beautiful. Young Master Outyin said that only the daughter of the heavens favorites is worthy of him. Bing Jinghuan continued. This? King Bing Xian's expression changed slightly, and he frowned. Young Master Aotian really said that? Yes, father. Perhaps soon, only our sect will be the supreme leader of the sect and propose a marriage. Bing Jing Huan nodded. When I saved Jin I found that her talent was extraordinary. She will definitely be extraordinary in the future. I didn't expect that she could suppress the proud son of heaven of only our sect in just a few months. No wonder young master of only our sect was so moved. But what about Priest Wang? A long-haired elder beside the white-haired elder said with a frown. If it were any other time, they would be very happy if the young master of our sect, Ao Tian, took a fancy to Bing Jian. But now, there was a Priest Wang. In their opinion, although that Priest Wang was far inferior to the young master of Ao Tian, after all, he had also saved an ancestor of their icy heart empire. Restoring his strength to the 8th level of the profound void tier was a huge favor. Big brother, what do you think? The long-haired old man looked at the white-haired old man and asked softly. This? The white-haired old man was slightly hesitant. He was cured by Wang Xian, but he was leaning towards young master Ao Tian in his heart. Young master Ao Tian had an 80% chance of becoming the sect leader of the solipsistic sect in the future. As for Priest Wang, he was merely a relatively powerful priest. There was still a huge gap between the two. Jin, marrying the young lord of Ao Tian, would be of great benefit to the Icy Heart dynasty. Father, Patriarch, the relationship between the young lord of Ao Tian and Priest Wang isn't very good. A few days ago, there was almost a conflict. Fortunately, the Crown Prince of Wuqing City was present at that time. Bing Jing Huan looked at the hesitant expressions of the patriarch and his father and added on from the side. Oh, that Priest Wang actually dared to provoke Ao Tian? The white-haired elder raised his eyebrows and asked in surprise. Patriarch, according to our understanding of Priest Wang, he is a fearless person. He used to fight against the 2 heavens pride experts of our sect. He didn't give face to the Crown Prince of Wuqing City at all. He didn't even fear the Wuji dynasty. It's said that he doesn't know fear, but it can also be said that he doesn't know what's good for him. He is a bit arrogant and arrogant. Iceheart King said lightly. Chapter 1578. 1578, 1578 dragons have a reverse scale 1. Somewhat arrogant, somewhat insolent. This was the evaluation of the king of Bingxin Empire towards Wang Xian. In the room, the 2 patriarchs of Bingxin Empire were sitting there quietly, deep in thought. Big brother, what do you think? The long-haired elder said to the white-haired elder. Although that Priest Wang is powerful and has great potential, his character is destined to cause him to provoke many enemies. Now that he has even provoked Ao Tian, this is not a good thing. For our Bingxin dynasty, young master Ao Tian is the better choice. After a long silence, the white-haired elder said calmly. I also think that the Supreme Chief's son is the best choice. It will be extremely beneficial for the future of our Bingxin dynasty. No matter what, Priest Wang has cured Big Brother's illness for decades. We can't be too ungrateful. The long-haired elder nodded slowly at the side. Since young Master Outyan has spoken, it's not easy for us to refuse. Especially if the Supreme Sect leader proposes marriage. With the supreme status of our sect, we can't refuse either. Since that's the case, we'll betroth Jian to young Master Outyan. This is also a better choice for Jian. As for Priest Wang, he can choose any beauty from the Bingxin dynasty. A smile slowly appeared on Bingxin King's face as he looked at the 2 ancestors and suggested. All right, in that case, let's go to the venue where I am the only one. If Jian can really obtain the first place tomorrow, it will be of even greater benefit to our Bingxin dynasty. Haha. The long-haired elder stood up and said with a smile. The white-haired elder and Bingxin King nodded with smiles on their faces. The matter had already been settled. Bing Jing Huan, who was standing in front, revealed a cold smile on his face, filled with schadenfreude. Jian, let's go. Master will bring you to the venue where I rule supreme. The next morning, the Bingxin King, the 2 ancestors, and Bing Jing Huan came to the front of Lingjian Er's courtyard and called out to Lingjian Er. Master? Ling Jian walked out. When she saw her ancestors and the top experts of the Bingxin dynasty, she was stunned. Master, why are you here? She asked curiously. Haha, why? Can't you come and see my outstanding disciple? The long-haired old man smiled and shouted happily. Zhou, we will take you there. We hope that you can get the first place today. By then, the Bingxin dynasty will be proud. After today's battle, Father will give you a big surprise. King Bingxin said with a smile. Thank you, Your Majesty. Ling Jian nodded with a smile. Let's go. King Bingxin nodded and said directly. Wait, Your Majesty. Wang Xian hasn't arrived yet. He should be here soon. Ling Jian looked outside and said, Jian, let's rush over first. Pastor Wang knows the place. The long-haired elder frowned slightly and said with a smile, That's fine. Ling Jian nodded slightly and followed the people of the Bingxin Empire towards the place where I am the only one who knows martial arts. Little brother Wang Xian, are you confident that Jian will acknowledge me as his father? At this moment, on the way to Ling Jian's courtyard, Sect Leader Ling looked at Wang Xian and said nervously, Sect Leader Ling, don't be nervous. Jian can't recognize you now, but you can take your time to nurture her. Wang Xian smiled at Sect Leader Ling. During this period of time, Ling Jian had gradually accepted him. Naturally, he wanted her to get to know Sect Leader Ling. Even if they couldn't recover their father-daughter relationship, at least Sect Leader Ling would be happier and feel more at ease. Pastor Wang, I was wrong. I was wrong. As long as you save me, I'm willing to do anything you want me to do. At this moment, an old voice suddenly came from the side. Sect Leader Ling frowned slightly and looked to the left. An old man with a stooped figure, who looked like a beggar who was about to die at any moment, begged Wang Xian. Don't pretend to be so pitiful. Find a safe place to spend the rest of your life. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the old man. There was no trace of pity in his eyes. He would naturally not rescue a person who wanted to threaten him. The hunchbacked old man looked at Wang Xian's determined look and his eyes were filled with gloom. He watched Wang Xian walk forward and followed closely behind him. Sage, Princess Jian has followed the king and the old ancestor to the venue where I rule supreme. When Wang Xian arrived in front of Ling Jian's courtyard, a maid said to him, Oh, she has already gone? Wang Xian frowned slightly and nodded. He looked at Sect Leader Ling and said, Jian has already gone. Let's go too. All right. Sect Leader Ling nodded and followed Wang Xian to the venue. Behind them, the stooped old man followed behind with determination in his eyes. He planned to waste his time with Wang Xian. Even if he had to give up on the dignity of a powerhouse, he had to get Wang Xian to treat him. Otherwise, his life would be over. So many people. When Sect Leader Ling and Wang Xian arrived at the venue in the middle of the two mountain peaks, Sect Leader Ling looked around in astonishment. More than 100,000 people gathered around. Judging from their strength, they were much stronger than the Luhai region. There are naturally many people in the martial arts competition of the Solitaire sect. This is also because there are many people who are not qualified to enter. Otherwise, there would be millions and millions of people. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings. The last day of the Solitaire sect martial arts competition was also the day of the finals. It was much livelier than the beginning. Around the arena, there were many big shots and experts, especially the seat at the front of the competition, which was filled with many empty seats at the beginning. The two experts at level 7 of the see-through realm, who were hosting the first day, sat to the side and changed into two old men in cyan robes. Sect Leader Ling, let's go. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the area. When he saw that there was no sign of Ling Jian, he was slightly curious. Little brother Wang Xian, over there. Jian is over there. At this moment, Sect Leader Ling pointed to the front seat and said with a face full of surprise. Wang Xian looked over and saw that the Bingxin Empire and Ling Jian were sitting at the seat of the lone sect. The two patriarchs of the Bingxin Empire were conversing with the two green-robed elders. Sect Leader Ling, let's sit over there first. Wang Xian looked over. Without much thought, he came to the seat where the Bingxin Empire used to sit. He had just sat down when Ling Jian noticed their arrival and waved at him. Wang Xian smiled and waved back with a smile on his face. Hee, Jian has become much more cheerful. Sect leader Ling looked at her daughter with tears in her eyes as she said excitedly, "Don't worry, sect leader Ling. I will bring Jian back. I will make her acknowledge you as her father." Wang Xian looked at sect leader Ling and promised. Chapter 1579. 1579 Dragon 1579 has a reverse scale too. Jian, young master Aotion is here. You should have a good chat with him later. On the stage at the front, King Bingxin saw Ling Jian greeting Wang Xian. He frowned slightly and spoke to her. Young master Aotion? Ling Jian was stunned for a moment before nodding her head. Yes, your majesty. I understand. The son of the supreme sect leader of the only sect could possibly inherit the position of sect leader in the future, so she naturally knew that she could not provoke him. She looked behind her and saw the long-haired young master of Aotion, who was wearing the 4 golden crowns of the only sect leader, flying over. An arrogant aura blew over. Young master of Aotion. Young master of Aotion. Ling Jian Bingjing Huan, and the others stood up and greeted Aotion. You are welcome. Looking at Sister Jian up close, she is really beautiful. Aotion sized up Ling Jian from top to bottom and did not conceal his words at all. Young master Aotion is too modest. Ling Jian felt his gaze and frowned imperceptibly as she said indifferently, Sister Jian you don't have to be modest. In the entire vast region, among the women of this generation, who can compare to Sister Jian? Haha. Aotion smiled and walked to the seat beside Ling Jian and sat down. Sister Jian in the competition later, you might be able to defeat all the disciples of our lone sect. He smiled and said to Ling Jian Ling Jian nodded her head indifferently and didn't reply. She looked towards Wang Xian's seat. This caused Aotion, who was at the side, to show a hint of displeasure in his eyes. His gaze turned cold. Soon, the competition began, and one by one, the young prodigies stepped onto the stage. Since the start of the competition until today, all of the participants were at the profound void tier. This caused the blood of many of the surrounding youths to boil, and they cheered loudly. Aotion would occasionally say a few words to Ling Jian but in the end, all he received were indifferent and absent-minded replies. This caused Aotion's expression to become colder and colder. When the king of Bingxin saw this, his expression turned ugly as well. Jian, it's your turn. More than an hour later, the king of Bingxin said to Ling Jian with a smile on his face, Yes, your majesty, I will get the first place. Ling Jian nodded her head with a determined expression. Her body moved, and she flew towards the arena. In midair, she looked towards Wang Xian and gave him a sweet smile. Bing Jian has entered the arena. I wonder who will win in a battle with young Master Tian. With the strength that Bing Jian has displayed, it's obvious that she will be able to win. I really didn't expect that a woman of her generation would be able to reach the top of the young generation in the vast region. Now, I'm a little envious of Reverend Wang. If such a woman can be obtained, it would be a great fortune. Then you have to have Reverend Wang's strength as well. Wake up, stop dreaming. Ling Jian's appearance caused a heated discussion among the surrounding people. A woman had the chance to obtain first place in the competition of the lone sect. In the entire vast region, she was also the first person in thousands of years. Now, there were already people who called her the daughter of heaven's pride, the peerless daughter. With Jian's current strength, she can already kill a powerhouse at level 4 of the see-through void. That young Master Tian is completely no match for Jian. Wang Xian looked at Ling Jian's figure and said to sect leader Ling, good. Sect leader Ling's eyes were glued to her as she watched happily. Young Master Aotion, after the martial arts competition ends, our Bingxin Empire will announce that Jian will be betrothed to you. Jian has a cold personality and does not like to talk to strangers. However, as long as you communicate with him frequently, with your outstanding qualities, Jian will definitely fall in love with you in the future. At the front seat, the king of Bingxin looked at Aotian, who had an ugly expression, and said with a smile, "Of course, in the entire vast region, there are not many people who can compare to me." Aotian felt much better after hearing the king of Bingxin's words. He raised his head proudly. Of course, of course." The king of Bingxin nodded with a smile. "My father also wants to see what kind of woman can make his son admire her." Aotian took out a mirror and threw it into the sky with a smile. At the same time, on a mountain tens of thousands of kilometers away, there was a mountain peak that reached into the clouds. Each mountain peak was extremely steep and gave off a green light. In a cave on the mountain peak, an old man was sitting cross-legged in a luxurious room. The old man was wearing a green robe, and there was a vertical scar between his eyebrows. He gave off an aura that transcended all living things. "Haha, I want to see what kind of outstanding woman can actually make our Tian-Er's heart move." The old man looked forward. There was a 1-meter wide mirror there. In the mirror, the scene of the supreme stage tens of thousands of miles away was completely displayed. "Husband, I have already checked. She is an extremely outstanding woman. I can't find another one in the entire vast region." A graceful and elegant lady was leaning on the old man's side, and she said with a smile, "Our Tian-Er is already over 100 years old. It is time for her to find a wife. There are very few ladies in the world who are worthy of our Tian-Er. This is not bad." The old man smiled and looked at the stage in the mirror. "Let's take a look first." On the stage, the match began. However, what shocked everyone was that at the start of the match, Lingjian had defeated the two Heaven's favorites in one move. The most outstanding Heaven's favorite disciple of our sect. One move, just one move. Looking at the battle in the mirror, the old man was stunned. "Haha, good, good, good. What a rare lady, what a rare lady." Following that, the old man stood up with a face full of joy and shouted loudly. If others saw this, they would definitely be shocked. Because this person was the 3 most powerful peerless experts in the vast region. The Supreme Headmaster, a rank 9 insightful void martial artist. As expected of the woman that Tian-Er took a fancy to. At such a young age, she already has battle strength comparable to a rank 4 insightful void martial artist. She is even more outstanding than our Tian-Er, good, good. The Supreme Headmaster laughed heartily, his face full of smiles. "Only a woman like this has the qualifications to be our daughter-in-law. Husband, we must definitely capture such an outstanding daughter-in-law in our hands." The woman at the side also spoke with a face full of joy. "This is natural. As long as Tian-Er has taken a fancy to her, there is nothing that cannot be obtained in the vast region. I will ask them to immediately bring this woman over," the Supreme Headmaster said straightforwardly. At the same time, he waved his arm and an object that looked like an imperial edict flew out. During the flight, lines of words appeared on it. The imperial edict landed on the peak of a mountain outside and disappeared. At the same time, in the Supreme Headmaster's venue, everyone was shocked. Chapter 1580. 1580 1,580 dragons had reverse scale 3. Oh my god, instant kill. She actually killed young noble Tian in a single move. Just how strong is Bing Jian? This is too terrifying. She defeated the most outstanding disciple of our sect in a single move. How heaven-defying. She is definitely not only at the 3rd level of the profound void martial stage. Her battle prowess should have reached the 4th level of the profound void martial stage. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to kill young noble Tian in a single move. Everyone was stunned. At this moment, in the arena surrounding the venue, when everyone saw Lingjian defeating young noble Tian in a single move, after a few seconds of silence, the entire venue was in an uproar. With such monstrous talent, even the crown prince of Wuching City and young master Nangong Wudi are far from it. The #1 lady in the vast region. After today, Bing Jian will definitely be famous throughout the vast region. The shocked voice caused the entire venue to become extremely noisy. In the middle of the arena, young Master Tian stared blankly at the ice-cold Ling Jian in front of him. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and his eyes were filled with shock. He was the top-notch Heaven's Pride disciple in the vast region. He was actually instantly killed by a female. How was this possible? Hiss. At the front, all the disciples of the Solitaire sect sucked in a breath of cold air, their eyes filled with shock. The deacons and elders were also filled with shock. The strongest disciple they had nurtured was actually instantly killed by a woman. Haha, good. The patriarch and monarch of the Ice Heart Empire were slightly stunned before they shouted out with a face full of laughter. Their faces were filled with excitement. The stronger Ling Jian was, the more benefits they would receive. She is actually so outstanding. As expected of the lady that Aotion, have taken a fancy to. Haha. Aotion also stood up with a face full of excitement as he stared at Ling Jian with eyes full of possessiveness. Wong. At this moment, a hexagram suddenly appeared in the middle of the arena. Following that, a scroll that looked like an imperial edict appeared and floated in the air. It's the teleportation array of the only sect. Ancient array, long-distance teleportation. Some people were slightly shocked when they saw the hexagram that suddenly lit up and exclaimed, "The scroll of the supreme sect leader." In the center, 2 green-robed elders waved their arms when they saw the scroll that suddenly appeared. The scroll that looked like an imperial edict flew towards them. Grand elders, what did my father say? Aotion immediately walked over with a smile on his face. One of the green-robed elders opened the scroll and scanned the words on it with a smile. Aotion, it's the Supreme Headmaster announcing your marriage. The green-robed elder smiled and glanced at the 2 patriarchs of the Ice Heart dynasty. Grand elders, what does the Supreme Headmaster say? The white-haired elder and the long-haired elder's eyes flashed with anticipation as they immediately asked. The Supreme Headmaster is very satisfied. Let's proceed with the competition first. We will announce it when Bing Jian receives her reward. The green-robed elder smiled. Although it was not the disciples of their sect who had won the first place this time, the Supreme Headmaster was even happier. The strongest person has been chosen for this competition. Bing Jian, please step onto the Heaven's Pride stage in the center. The 2 green-robed elders stood up and their voices covered the entire venue. Everyone who was discussing immediately quieted down and looked at Ling Jian. Everyone's gaze was focused on Ling Jian. Wang Xian and sect leader Ling looked at Ling Jian, who was dressed in golden clothes and holding a golden longsword. Her beauty was stunning and her face was full of smiles. She flew to the prodigy stage and stood there quietly like a noble fairy. She turned her head to look at Wang Xian and revealed a faint smile. Bing Jian has won the young prodigy competition of our sect. She has become the first woman to win the competition ever since the establishment of our sect. The Supreme Headmaster has personally conferred Bing Jian, the title of unparalleled in the world, the only daughter of our sect, the most favored daughter of the heavens. Bing Jian. The green-robed elder looked at Ling Jian on the prodigy stage and announced, "What? The Supreme Headmaster has personally conferred Bing Jian, unparalleled in the world, the only daughter of our sect." I didn't expect that the Supreme Headmaster would actually pay attention to this battle and personally confer the title. Oh my God. When the surrounding people heard the green-robed elder's words, their faces were filled with shock. Everyone looked at Ling Jian with envy. When Ling Jian heard the words of the Supreme Elder, she was also slightly stunned, and a faint smile appeared on her face. In addition, the Supreme Headmaster will personally meet Bing Jian and give her an even more generous reward. The green-robed elder continued. Their words once again filled the surrounding people with envy. Thank you, Supreme Headmaster, for your love. Ling Jian held her sword and bowed. Haha, Congratulations, Sister Jin. At this moment, a loud laughter came from Aotion's mouth. His figure moved and flew towards the position beside Ling Jian. Ling Jian was stunned when she saw Aotion flying towards her. She nodded her head politely. Aotion did not mind her coldness, and the corner of his mouth curled up. He stood beside Ling Jian and looked towards the people from the Ice Heart Empire. Ling Jian frowned and looked at him curiously. She did not understand why he was standing beside her. Everyone around also looked at young Lord Aotion in surprise. Jian, father said that once the competition is over, he will give you a big surprise. The king of Bingxin Kingdom looked at Ling Jian and said with a smile, "After my discussion with the old ancestor, I will betroth you to young Lord Aotion." The king of Bingxin Kingdom shouted the last 4 words. His voice resounded in everyone's mind. It also shook everyone around, and they all widened their eyes slightly. Marriage, parents' orders, matchmaker's words. Master, I'll find you the most outstanding youth in the vast region. The long-haired elder from Bingxin dynasty continued with a smile on his face. What? However, Ling Jian's expression changed drastically when she immediately reacted. What? What's going on? The Icy Heart Empire actually betrothed Bing Jian to young Master Aotion. Oh my god, Bing Jian is going to marry young Master Aotion. Judging from young Master Aotion's appearance, he already knows. Isn't Bing Jian very close to Priest Wang? What's going on? This Bing Jian is actually going to marry young Master Aotion. She has soared to the sky. In the future, she might become the most powerful woman in the vast region. Very soon, everyone around was also roaring in a low voice with faces full of shock. They had never expected that at this moment, the Bing Xian Empire would actually betroth Ling Jian to the young master of Aotion. Some people were shocked. Wasn't Ling Jian and Priest Wang a couple? There were also people with faces full of envy. Ling Jian had soared into the sky in one go. However, Wang Xian, who was standing on the spectator stand, instantly shot out a terrifying killing intent from his eyes. Dragons have reverse scales. Chapter 1581. 1581 Dragon 1581 has a reverse scale 4. Dragon has a reverse scale. Anyone who touches it will die. Wang Xian stood there with killing intent surging in his eyes. His gaze was fixed on everyone in the Bingxin Empire. Violence was brewing in his eyes. Everyone around was discussing in shock. No one expected that Ling Jian, who had obtained the title of the Supreme Leader, would be betrothed to the young master of Aotion by the Bingxin Empire. When Ling Jian heard her master and the Bingxin king's words, her face was also filled with shock and astonishment. Sister Jian, you are the most outstanding woman I have ever seen. Marry me, and I will let you enjoy the blessings of the heavens. I will let you become the most dazzling woman in the vast region. At this moment, Aotion was looking at Ling Jian with a face full of smiles and confidence. As he spoke, he slowly spread his arms and gave off a domineering aura. In the future, you will be the female owner of this sky. Hiss. The surrounding 100,000 people sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard young Master Aotion's declaration. Almost all the girls looked at Ling Jian with envy. However, Ling Jian's expression was getting uglier and uglier. She glanced at Aotion and her gaze landed on the people from the Icy Heart Empire. I don't agree. I will make my own decisions. Her cold voice sounded. What? This? When Ling Jian's voice sounded, everyone from the Icy Heart Empire had a huge change in expression. The people around them were also stunned and their eyes were shining with a strange light. Aotion, who was standing at the side, was slightly stunned. The arrogant expression on his face instantly froze. He turned to Ling Jian and glared at her with a pair of angry eyes. Jian, don't mess around. Marriage is a major event. It is the order of your parents. Furthermore, foster father and master are doing this for your own good. When the king of Bingxin heard Ling Jian's words, His expression changed slightly as he spoke in a domineering manner. Bing Qingkuan, Bing Fao, is this your decision? Wang Xian stared at the king of Bingxin and the white-haired old man. He called them by their names and questioned them in a cold tone. When the king of Bingxin and the white-haired old man heard Wang Xian's cold words, they frowned slightly and their expressions changed slightly. When everyone around saw this situation, their faces were filled with astonishment as they looked around. No one had expected such a situation to happen. Priest Wang Jin-er's marriage was decided after careful consideration by us. Let's give her a better life. My Bingxin Empire and my Bingxin Kuren have many daughters. They are all as beautiful as flowers. You can choose any one of them. Furthermore, as long as Priest Wang likes any of the beauties in the entire Bingxin Empire, I will make the decision for you. The king of Bingxin squeezed out a smile and said to Wang Xian, Haha, almost everyone knows that I, Wang Xian, came to the vast area from the flowing sea region to look for Jin-er. You guys are forcing me now. Wang Xian laughed out loud. His voice was filled with coldness. He sighed slowly at the last sentence. I already have someone in my heart. Ling Jin-er stood on the Heaven's Pride stage and shifted her gaze away from Wang Xian. She looked at the king of Bingxin and said calmly, The Bingxin Empire. Ling Jin-er's words and Wang Xian's words caused the two supreme elders of the Solitaire sect to turn gloomy instantly. They looked at Aotion, who was standing there with endless fury in his eyes. Their eyes were also filled with coldness and anger. The Bingxin Empire had said that they would betroth Bing Jin-er to the son of their supreme leader, but now they didn't agree. This was a slap to the face of the only sect. This was a violation of the dignity of the only sect. Supreme elders, leave this matter to the Ice Heart dynasty. The white-haired elder Bing Fa didn't feel the anger of the supreme elder of the only sect. His face changed greatly and he quickly said, Aotion on the prodigy stage slowly raised his head and stood there expressionlessly looking down at everything. Jin-er, we have already made the decision on this matter. We are doing this for your own good. The matter is settled. In the future, you will marry into the only sect and become the wife of young Master Aotion. Cherish this opportunity. Bing Fa Wu's expression also turned cold as he ordered Ling Jin-er. As for Priest Wang, this matter is the matter of our Bingxin dynasty. It is not something you can participate in. But don't worry, our Bingxin Empire will give you sufficient compensation. Bing Fa Wu said as he looked at the long-haired elder beside him. This is how the matter is decided. No one can change it. The long-haired elder announced with a gloomy face. Old geezer, how can the matter of Jin-er be decided by you two? As soon as the two of them finished speaking, Wang Xian's somewhat savage voice sounded. Bastard! When Bing Fa Wu and the long-haired elder heard Wang Xian's words, their faces instantly turned furious. Priest Wang, if it weren't for the fact that you healed me, I would have been able to kill you if you had said those words. Bing Fa Wu growled at him with a face full of anger. Old man, do you know that I was the one who helped you expel the dark soul in your body? How could the Bingxin Empire do such an ungrateful thing? Wang Xian raised his head and stared at Bing Fa Wu. You! Bing Fa Wu's face turned red when he heard his words. Shut up. This is a matter of our Bingxin Empire. You are just a priest. You don't have the right to interfere in our matters. Don't think that you are the #1 priest and you dare to be so arrogant to our Bingxin Empire. Let me tell you, Jin-er is lucky to be able to marry young Master Aotion. Compared to young Master Aotion, you are like a firefly competing with the bright moon. At this moment, Bing Jinghuan, who was standing at the side, had a ferocious look on his face. He was gloating as he shouted at Wang Xian. While Bing Jinghuan was shouting, the people from the Bingxin Empire did not stop him. When Wang Xian heard his words, a smile appeared on his face instead. He had already made a decision in his heart. I don't agree. On the Heaven's Pride stage, Ling Jin-er said with a determined gaze. She looked at Wang Xian and moved. Buzz. However, just as Ling Jin-er was about to fly towards Wang Xian, young Master Aotion took out a round ball from his hand. The round ball enveloped the Heaven's Pride stage. Ling Jian's expression changed. There was no fluctuation at all when she crashed into the formation. Aotian, release Jin. Wang Xian saw it, and the terrifying killing intent that he was suppressing erupted. He shouted loudly, "There is nothing that I, Aotian, cannot get." He looked down at Wang Xian with a domineering expression. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he looked at Ling Jian, who was at the side. "Such an outstanding lady is only worthy of me, Aotian. No one else is worthy of her." As he spoke, he turned his gaze to everyone in the Bingxin Empire. "Bingxin Empire, I hope that all of you can settle this successfully. I don't want to fight." He stood there arrogantly and said faintly, "Don't worry, young Master Aotian." The king of Bingxin immediately cupped his hands and said firmly, Chapter 1582. 1582 1,582 dead bodies, 1,000 miles of blood. Now, my Bingxin dynasty announces, Princess Bing Jian, marry young Master Aotian. Your parents' orders, matchmaker's words. If anyone dares to interfere, my Bingxin dynasty will definitely punish them severely. The king of Bingxin cupped his hands at young Master Aotian. His cold gaze swept across Wang Xian as he gritted his teeth and said coldly. He made the final announcement. What matchmaker's words? I am Jian's father. What right does your Bingxin Empire have to be called Jian's parents? Jian has lost her memory. How long has she been in your Bingxin Empire? Now that Jian doesn't agree, what right do you have to force her? When Sect Master Ling, who was standing beside Wang Xian, heard King Bing Xian's words, he revealed an angry expression and roared loudly. Let me out. I won't marry him. Let me out. At the Heaven's Pride stage, Ling Jian brandished the metal longsword in her hand and thrust it heavily towards the formation. However, the sturdy formation did not have the slightest ripple. This is really unexpected. Now, the Bingxin Empire is embarrassed. According to what I said, Bing Jian is not the daughter of the king of Bingxin. Instead, she was brought here by the patriarch of the Bingxin Empire not long ago. Bing Jian is obviously loyal to Priest Wang. Now, however, that Priest Wang is going to be in trouble. The woman that young Master Aotian wants, he doesn't have the qualifications at all. Everyone around looked on, pursed their lips, and whispered. The Bingxin Empire is ungrateful. Today, I, Wang Xian, announce, if Jian doesn't leave with me today, I will definitely make your Bingxin Empire bleed for thousands of miles. Wang Xian swept his gaze across Ling Jian and stared at everyone in the Bingxin Empire. His face was filled with killing intent as he announced the same thing. Ha ha, Pastor Wang, I will give you face and address you as Pastor Wang. If I don't give you face, you are nothing in the eyes of our Bingxin Empire. Make my Bingxin Empire bleed for thousands of miles. Do you have the ability to do so? Ha. The long-haired elder from the Bingxin Empire laughed maniacally. A powerful aura that belonged to the 8th level of the see-through realm was emitted from his body as he stared at Wang Xian coldly. The rest of the people from the Bingxin Empire were also staring at Wang Xian with sparkling eyes. Haha, this is really interesting. A radiant priest, a mere radiant priest, actually dares to challenge the Bingxin Empire. You are really arrogant and conceited. Do you dare to challenge the solipsistic sect? Don't think that just because you saved the crown prince of Wuji Empire, you can act recklessly in the vast region. Bingxin Empire, don't have any scruples. All the consequences will be borne by the solipsistic sect. Aotian laughed maniacally when he heard Wang Xian's words. His laughter was filled with disdain. In the end, he promised the Bingxin Empire. Don't be afraid of the Wuji Empire. Their only sect is here. I want to see how you can make our Bingxin Empire bleed for thousands of miles. The long-haired elder flew a few hundred meters forward and looked down at Wang Xian from the sky. Around them, Bing Fa Wu, the king Bing Qinkuan, and the experts from the Bingxin Empire immediately flew into the sky and looked down as well. Aotian, You want me to marry you? Dream on. Ling Jian Er's cold voice sounded from within the array formation on the prodigy stage. HMPH, you'll be mine for the rest of your life. Not long from now, our wedding will be held under the watchful eyes of the world. Now, I'll bring you back to the only sect to take a look. Let's go. It's not good to watch that fellow die here. Aotion saw that everyone was looking in his direction. His expression was not good as he waved his arm. A hexagram pattern appeared in the sky above the Heaven's Pride stage. Both of their figures disappeared instantly. Only sect, you are seeking your own destruction. Wang Xian saw Ling Jian, who had disappeared into the formation. His eyes slowly turned black. A violent aura was gathering on his body. A mere priest. Get rid of him as soon as possible. It's a waste of time. A supreme elder of Soli sect said indifferently. He gestured to the supreme elder beside him and leaped into the sky. He left directly through the long-distance teleportation of the hexagram. Remember, a radiant priest. Don't be so arrogant. Otherwise, you will die. The long-haired elder from the Iceheart Empire stared at Wang Xian and said indifferently, "Kill him." As the two of them spoke, they ordered the two people beside them. It's the old ancestor. The two powerhouses at level 7 of the see-through realm nodded and walked out slowly. That priest Wang is going to die. Who would have thought that the Saint of Light would end up like this? He's too arrogant. He dares to provoke anyone. This time, I'm afraid he's going to die. When everyone saw the enraged Bingxin Empire was about to make a move, their eyes sparkled as they discussed among themselves. When Wang Xian saw the two 7th-level Profound Void martial stage powerhouses from Bingxin Empire flying out, he narrowed his eyes slightly. That kind of violent killing intent caused his eyes to slowly turn pitch black. You will only have face if our Bingxin Empire gives you face. If we don't give you face, you are nothing. The two experts at level 7 of the see-through void tier stared at Wang Xian and said with disdain. Behind him, Bing Jinghuan was watching this scene with excitement. Cough, 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 cough. I'm finally here. I'm finally here. Priest Wang, save me. Cough, cough. I'll help you. I'll help you kill them. I'll help you bleed thousands of miles and kill everyone. At this moment, a hunchbacked old man walked towards Wang Xian with his walking stick. He swept his gaze across the surroundings and looked at Wang Xian. He forced a smile on his face and said to Wang Xian in a fawning manner. The two powerhouses at level 7 of the see-through realm, who were about to make a move, were slightly stunned. They looked at the old man. Who is that old man? A cripple? That old man seems to be a cripple. Is there something wrong with his brain? What is he doing here? The old man who appeared out of nowhere and was even talking arrogantly made everyone around him slightly stunned. You old fool who is courting death. Let's die together with you, Priest Wang. The two level 7 insightful void martial artists from the Bingxin Empire revealed a hint of cold disdain on their faces. The staffs and long swords in their hands shot out a violent stream of water and a bone-piercing ice sword. In an instant, they attacked Wang Xian and the hunchbacked old man. Buzz. Wang Xian looked at the two attacks without any emotion in his eyes. He slowly raised his arm. A wave of light energy blocked the attack directly. He turned his head slowly and looked at the hunchbacked old man who was begging to please him. I'll give you a chance to atone for your sins. Wang Xian's dark-haired eyes were filled with violence. He placed his other palm on the old man's chest. Buzz. A terrifying demonic aura entered the old man's body. The soul of darkness that he released instantly trembled. I want to destroy the Bingxin Empire. His cold voice was heard by the stooped old man. Chapter 1583. 1583 1,583 corpses, 2,000 miles of blood. This is darkness, darkness, this. The hunchbacked old man sensed the dark energy in Wang Xian's body. His turbid eyes were wide open, filled with shock and disbelief. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and stared blankly at Wang Xian's left hand. The dense light energy was resisting the attacks of the two 7th-level see-through void martial artists. On his right hand, rolling dark energy entered his body. Agree, live, disagree, die. Wang Xian looked at the hunchbacked old man who was trembling at the corner of his mouth. His eyes were completely pitch black. Kiki, I like killing people. I will kill whoever you want. The hunchbacked old man felt the energy in his body recover. His face revealed an excited and twisted maniacal laughter as he roared loudly. To be honest, Pastor Wang, I like your personality. Kiki. The hunchbacked old man laughed loudly, and his figure instantly disappeared from Wang Xian's body. A black shadow attacked the two insightful Void Tier 7 powerhouses of the Bingxin Empire at a terrifying speed. The insightful Void Tier 7 powerhouse, who was surprised that Wang Xian had blocked the two of them in an instant, suddenly felt a sharp pain in his body. Kiki, Priest Wang said that he wants to destroy your Bingxin Empire. Then, he will destroy you. There will be millions of corpses and blood will flow for thousands of miles. Kiki. A horrifying voice suddenly resounded in the sky above the venue. Hiss. At the same time, the sound of tearing was heard. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the bodies of the two Level 7 insightful void martial artists were directly torn apart by force. Blood, flesh, and internal organs flew everywhere. The blood fog slowly revealed the face of an extremely savage, skinny elder. The dark energy around the elder surged and condensed, as if it was about to explode at any moment. The smell of blood. The elder excitedly licked the blood at the corner of his mouth and shouted in a low voice. What? A rank 8 void interpretation expert. That hunchbacked elder is actually a rank 8 void interpretation expert. He instantly killed two rank 7 void interpretation experts from the Bingxin Empire. Heavens, what? What's going on? That hunchbacked old man is here to seek treatment from Priest Wang, and his condition is to annihilate the Bingxin dynasty? The surrounding people looked at the savage-looking old man with shock on their faces. Rank 8 void interpretation expert. When the Bingxin dynasty saw the two rank 7 experts instantly killed, their expressions instantly became extremely unsightly. Damn it, you old thing. You want to make an enemy out of our Bingxin dynasty. Seeing the sudden change, the elder with long hair and Ice Fa Wu roared with an ugly expression. Kiki, who asked you to offend Priest Wang, and only he can expel the dark soul in my body. I heard that you were also cured by Priest Wang. TSK, don't you know that in my life, the people I want the most are those who are ungrateful? The stooped old man lifted his head slightly as if he was enjoying himself. Streams of demonic aura surged violently in his body. This feeling made him feel extremely good. Priest Wang, it seems like we have really underestimated you. However, do you really think that you can destroy our Bingxin Empire just by relying on a person at level 8 of the Void Interpretation stage? Today, even if there is a powerhouse at level 8 of the Void Interpretation stage helping you, you will still die. The long-haired elder stared at Wang Xian and growled in a low voice with an embarrassed expression. A huge lotus staff appeared in his hand. Water was flowing on the lotus. Bing Fa Wu, who was at the side, had a solemn expression on his face. He was holding a long sword in his hand. Around him, the supreme elder of the solitaire sect looked at the hunchbacked elder and frowned slightly. Go to the sky and fight. Don't destroy the solitaire sect's territory. He warned the Bingxin Empire and the hunchbacked old man arrogantly. Tisk. The hunchbacked old man smiled sinisterly and looked at the supreme elder of the sect. From now on, don't call me Pastor Wang. Wang Xian glanced at the supreme elder of the sect and stared at everyone in the Bingxin Empire with his pitch-black pupils. Now, without Pastor Wang, I prefer others to call me. As he spoke, he slowly opened his arms and wisps of black gas seeped out from his body. The change in Wang Xian's body immediately attracted everyone's attention. Everyone was astonished when they saw wisps of black gas seeping out from a powerful pastor of light. God, demon. A roar came out from Wang Xian's mouth, and the light aura on his body was swept away. What replaced it was endless darkness. The thick darkness directly shot up from Wang Xian's body. A violent, and terrifying aura swarmed around Wang Xian. Today, I, Wang Xian, will not destroy the Ice Heart Empire and the Sky Demon. A wild roar came out from his mouth. The voice spread across thousands of miles. Everyone in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom could hear it clearly. In an instant, the entire ruins of the Divine Kingdom was silent for 2 seconds. Everyone looked towards the direction of the lone sect. Their eyes were wide open and filled with shock. This roar was simply too terrifying. Wasn't Wang Xian the name of Priest Wang? Eternal Bingxin Empire, no Sky Demon. This meant that Eternal Iceheart Empire could not fully embody the name of Sky Demon. Priest Wang? Sky Demon? These two names were now like thunder in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. One was the Saint of Light, and the other was the number 1 devil in the world, Sky Demon. What was the relationship between the Saint of Light and Sky Demon? In the He clan, everyone in the He clan had a huge change in expression when they heard this howl. All the experts of the He clan looked at each other before flying towards the direction of the howl. In Wuji Empire, Wuqing City and the other experts were slightly shocked when they heard the roar. They immediately flew towards the direction of Solitaire Sect. Boom! What's going on? Oh my god, Priest Wang. How can Priest Wang be a Sky Demon? I can't believe it. The Saint of Light is actually a Sky Demon. FUCK. Tell me this isn't real. The pinnacle of a radiant priest, the number 1 devil in the vast region. How could they be the same person? All of these, the people around the Hall of Supreme Self, were all in shock. They couldn't believe it as they looked at Wang Xian, who had a demonic aura that shook the sky. Their eyes were wide open. Who could believe that the Saint of Light, the priest who saved the world with the hanging urn and had a benevolent heart, was actually able to wipe out 1 million people in the ancient demon city? The moment he appeared, he wiped out 25 sky fiends who were at the 7th level of the see-through void tier. This was simply too crazy. 2 extremely differentiated identities, one good and one evil. It shocked the world. Cough cough. How is this possible? At this moment, when everyone in the Bingxin Empire saw Wang Xian's violent roar and felt that terrifying aura, their pupils constricted slightly. A hint of fear appeared on their faces. They were not afraid of Pastor Wang because no matter how strong a pastor was, he was not a match for the Bingxin Empire. However, they were afraid of the Sky Demon. A Sky Demon that made all the forces fear him. However, the words Eternal Bingxin Empire and Eternal Sky Demon resounded throughout the world. Chapter 1584. 1584 1,584 dead bodies, 3,000 miles of blood. Boom! Just when everyone was shocked by Wang Xian's identity, he swung his arm towards the sky above the Heaven's Pride stage. His arm instantly turned into a dragon claw. Terrifying dark energy landed on the top of the Heaven's Pride stage. BZZZ. Boom boom boom. A wave of energy rolled on the top of the Heaven's Pride stage. Hexagrams appeared and slowly collapsed. What are you trying to do? When the Supreme Elder of the Solipsistic Sect saw that Wang Xian was the Sky Demon, his expression changed drastically. When he saw that Wang Xian had destroyed the long-distance teleportation, he growled in a low voice with an extremely embarrassed expression. Of course, I'm going to destroy all of you. Wang Xian looked at the Supreme Elder of the Solipsistic Sect and said in a calm voice. Hiss. Wang Xian's words caused the hundreds of thousands of people present to suck in a breath of cold air. Everyone was staring at Wang Xian in a frenzy. Especially those from the Solipsistic Sect. Their expressions kept changing. If it was someone else who said this, they might feel that it was beneath them. However, this was the Sky Demon, the famous Sky Demon. Regarding such a crazy demon, no one dared to doubt his words. Destroy us? The Supreme Elder of the Solipsistic Sect had a slight change in expression when he heard Wang Xian's words. However, following that, A domineering aura emanated from his body. Sky Devil? So what if you are a Sky Devil? In this world, the solipsistic sect is the most powerful sect. Even if you are a Sky Devil, don't be so arrogant today. The supreme elder of the solipsistic sect roared in a low voice with a cold expression as he stood there. Kill. Today, I will destroy the Bingxin dynasty. I will make millions of corpses and make blood flow for thousands of miles. Kill. However, Wang Xian did not pay any attention to the threat of the supreme elder of the solipsistic sect. He let out a furious roar. Roar, roar, roar. Divine Dragon Transformation. A pitch-black divine dragon that was about 150 meters long appeared in the sky. Its brutal aura filled a radius of dozens of kilometers. Kiki, kill, kill, kill. The stooped old man was able to kidnap Wang Xian to treat his injuries back then. It could be seen that he was not a good person. The stooped old man was also emitting a monstrous demonic aura as he charged forward to attack. Boss Demon, leave these two guys from the Bingxin Empire to me. The stooped old man glanced at Wang Xian with some shock and fear in his eyes. He let out a strange cry and went up to meet the Ice Dharma No and long-haired old man. He was fighting two people at the 8th level of the see-through void tier alone. Even though his body had just recovered, he had the confidence to do so. After all, his strength at his peak was not only at the 8th level of the see-through void tier. Kill. Everyone in the Iceheart Empire looked extremely embarrassed when they saw this situation. Their hearts were trembling violently. It was out of their expectations. It was completely out of their expectations. They never expected that they would reach this stage. They never expected that the Saint of Light was actually a sky demon. Roar, roar. At this moment, Wang Xian swayed his huge body and attacked the supreme elder of the Solitaire sect directly. Beast, you have offended the Solitaire sect. Kill him. The supreme elder of the Solitaire sect roared with a cold face. Numerous cyan-colored giant swords appeared around him. Dragon Kingdom in the palm. Wang Xian didn't hesitate at all and didn't hold back at all. So what if he was from the Solitaire sect? Today, even if he had to risk his life, he would make everyone tremble in fear. He would also make the Solitaire sect tremble in fear. Only in this way would they not dare to do anything to Jin or go to hell, Dharma Idol, Qingming Sword. The supreme elder of the Solitaire sect looked at the rumored demon claw with a grim expression. He immediately released his Dharma Idol. Numerous huge swords were emitting green wind waves as if they were piercing through the sky. They attacked Wang Xian directly. Run. Run quickly. The battle between the experts of level 8 of the see-through realm is not something we can watch. Quick, quick. Oh my god. Who would have thought that this would happen? Who would have thought that Priest Wang is the Sky Demon? This time, the Bingxin Empire has offended the wrong person. Even the solipsistic sect has probably offended someone they shouldn't have offended. When the spectators saw the battle, they all fled in fear. The area of the battle of a rank 8 void interpretation expert covered an area of 20 kilometers. Within these 20 kilometers, if one was hit by the shockwaves, one would die instantly. Over 100,000 people fled in fear. I've said it before. The people of the Bingxin Empire and the Soul Heart sect must die. Wang Xian crushed the Supreme Elder's Qingming sword form with his dragon claw. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he looked at the Soul Heart sect and everyone from the Bingxin Empire who wanted to escape. Roar, roar, Dharma Idol, Abyss Demonic Dragon. Wang Xian roared loudly. The demonic aura on his body burst out. Every scale of his divine dragon body was trembling. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, a huge pitch-black door suddenly appeared in the sky. The huge black door was like an abyss as it opened slowly. Buzz. The demonic dragon pearl of the 8th level of the see-through realm in Wang Xian's body rushed into the huge abyss door. Roar, roar. A roar that sounded like a tyrant's roar was heard from the huge abyss door. Then, a huge dragon head came out of the abyss. It had brutal blood-red eyes and a ferocious face. With the demonic dragon pearl as its soul and dark energy as its body, the demonic dragon slowly came out. The terrifying aura on its body made everyone tremble. My God, what is that? What a terrifying aura. It's at least at the 8th level of the profound void martial stage. At this moment, the experts from the Wuji Empire, the He clan, and the other factions were flying towards them. When they saw the terrifying creatures coming out from the huge black door that covered an area of 10 kilometers, all of them sucked in a breath of cold air. Even the experts at the 8th level of the profound void martial stage stopped in fear. What on earth happened to make that sky demon so angry that he even wanted to kill the disciples of our sect? Everyone's eyes flickered as they looked over and thought to themselves, "Oh no, run. All disciples of our sect, run away now. I see law enforcement, go and block the dark creatures in the sky." The supreme elder of our sect saw another terrifying creature appear in the sky, and his heart pounded violently. He hurriedly shouted, "Supreme Elder, our opponent is very strong. We can't separate our bodies at all." The two ancestors of the Iceheart Empire roared with trembling voices. At this moment, they were completely flustered. The hunchbacked old man in front of them was actually able to fight two people at the same time without being at a disadvantage. In fact, he was even able to do it with ease. This caused the Sky Demon to summon another level 8 creature of the profound void martial stage. He was completely unable to block it, kill. The Abyss Demon Dragon let out a hoarse and brutal aura. His black dragon flame landed on all the disciples of the lone sect. "Ah!" Screams sounded instantly. The disciples of the Solitaire sect, who had always been high and mighty and thought that they were superior, revealed a terrified expression. As the dark demon flame landed, screams sounded. At this moment, they knew that the Sky Demon didn't care that they were the disciples of the Solitaire sect. It might really be as they had said, causing millions of corpses to be buried and thousands of miles of blood to flow. Chapter 1585. 1585 1,500 and 8,500 dead bodies, and 10,000 miles of blood. Bastard, die. My sect will definitely behead you. Screams of pain rang out from the surroundings. Even the elders of the sect, who were at level 6 of the see-through void stage, could not withstand a single strike from the Abyss Demonic Dragon. The violent demonic dragon, the terrifying demonic flames, and even the violent power of darkness swept past, causing the deaths of many disciples of the sect. When the supreme elder of the sect saw Wang Xian's murderous look, he was furious. A green wind radiance enveloped his entire body. Dharma Idol, Storm Blade. At this moment, the supreme elder of the sect did not dare to restrain himself. He unleashed all the power in his body. A terrifying storm formed around him. At the center of the storm, the wind blade was spinning. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of mountains being torn apart rang out in the surroundings. The two mountains that were thousands of meters tall on both sides were directly turned into sharp rocks by the wind blades. Some of the disciples of the Soulheart sect and the people from the Iceheart Empire were even directly crushed by the wind blades when they weren't able to dodge in time. The area affected by a battle between experts was simply too large. When it came to a real battle, there was no time to care about the weak. Screams of pain rang out instantly. In an instant, thousands of people died in the aftermath of his Dharma idol. Everyone fled into the distance in panic. They wished they could grow a pair of wings. Explode. Wang Xian's pitch-black pupils were like an abyss. At the location of his heart, the heart of light and darkness, the glow of darkness flourished and almost completely covered the traces of light. An unceasing stream of dark energy surged into his entire body, causing each of Wang Xian's attacks to be unusually violent. The incomparably huge dark dragon clawed directly at the supreme elder of the solipsistic sect. The violent darkness contained within collided heavily with the storm blades, resulting in a terrifying explosion. A shockwave was sent out in all directions. Buzz. At this moment, the people nearby seemed to have lost their voices. The two mountains that were thousands of meters tall collapsed immediately, and the ground collapsed more than 10 meters deep. The collision of the terrifying energy caused the entire space to tremble. Break. When the supreme elder of the solipsistic sect saw this scene, his expression was extremely unsightly. The storm blades were neutralized, and the terrifying dragon claws were still present. He waved his hands with an extremely unsightly expression. A terrifying hurricane force wanted to lift Wang Xian into the sky to fight. In less than 5 minutes, the foundation of the entire sect would be reduced to ruins. Is that all you have? Then go to hell. Wang Xian stared coldly at the supreme elder of the sect. His huge dragon mouth opened slowly. Dragon head to the world. Roar. A dragon head that was 3 to 4 kilometers in size appeared in the sky. The eyes that were the size of a house and 4 long dark dragon whiskers were like monsters from another world. A dragon roar shook the entire ruins of the divine kingdom. Wang Xian opened his huge dragon mouth and swallowed the supreme elder of the sect, who was like an ant. Damn it! The supreme elder of the solitaire sect looked at the dragon mouth that was a few kilometers in size. He felt as though a huge abyss was swallowing him. It was the first time he had encountered such a terrifying creature. With a body size of a few kilometers, a small-scale attack could not cause any damage to his body. However, a large-scale attack would consume too much energy. If it landed on his body, he would only be able to withstand the attack of the opponent. This made him feel a trace of fear in his heart. He was the supreme elder of the solitaire sect. His strength was among the best among those of the same level. A heavenly wind has descended from the sky. The earth has risen, and the terrain has risen. Break for me. The supreme elder of the solitaire sect gritted his teeth. 10 giant cyan swords shot into the sky. 10 giant cyan swords plunged into the earth. The wind rose and the earth shook. A terrifying cyan light condensed in the middle. The cyan glow floated in the air for a total of 2,000 to 3,000 meters. The wind currents in the cyan glow surged at a speed that could tear through everything. It met the attack of the dragon's mouth directly. Roar! Roar! 10,000-mile dragon body. Wang Xian did not dodge at all. He went straight for the terrifying cyan glow to devour it. Hiss, this is fucking unbelievable. It directly devoured the Dharma idol of the solicitous sect's level 8 see-through expert. Oh my god, look at the body of that sky demon. What kind of Dharma idol does the sky demon cultivate? How can it be so terrifying? At this moment, the experts of the Wuji Empire, the He clan, and the other forces arrived at a place more than 10 kilometers away from the battlefield. Seeing that the sky demon directly swallowed the green light, all of them had shocked expressions on their faces, especially when they saw the dragon body behind the heavenly devil expanding at a terrifying speed. It expanded to an area of 7 to 8 kilometers. 3 to 4 kilometers of dragon balls, 3 to 4 kilometers of dragon heads, and 7 to 8 kilometers of dragon bodies. Such a terrifying colossus, even with a light sweep, possessed terrifying destructive power. Hiss, this? When the supreme elder of the solipsistic sect saw the Dharma idol being devoured, his expression was extremely ugly. When the entire Dharma idol was devoured, his expression changed drastically when he saw the dragon mouth that covered an area of a few kilometers heading towards him. Too strong. He quickly dodged to the side with an ugly expression. His body shook and a pair of green wings appeared on his back. Crash! However, at this moment, pitch-black chains in the sky swept towards him. Not good. The supreme elder of the lone sect revealed a trace of fear in his eyes as he slashed out with his swords towards the black chains. Roar! However, in just an instant, he felt his surroundings turn dark as a violent energy charged towards him. His expression was filled with shock, as though he had entered a black hole and wanted to rush out. However, the violent dark energy was like an ocean, directly annihilating him. A level 8 profound void martial artist has fallen. Hiss. A level 8 profound void martial artist. Other than those who died of natural causes, it has been over 1,000 years since such an ancestor-level expert died. This Skyphian strength is really terrifying. Even a level 8 profound void martial artist can be killed so quickly. When the surrounding people saw the supreme elder of the lone sect being devoured, their expressions instantly changed. They were discussing in shock. The 8th level of the see-through realm could be considered to be an expert that could suppress an area of 100,000 kilometers in the Transcendence continent. Now, he was actually killed. This allowed everyone to have a deeper understanding of the strength of the sky demon. Roar. Boom. Boom. With a roar, Wang Xian's body, which was more than 10 kilometers long, landed on the ground. The entire area of the Soulheart sect was in a mess. His gigantic dragon eyes stared at the two patriarchs of the Iceheart Empire in the sky. Run, run now. Being stared at by the gigantic dragon eyes, the hearts of the two patriarchs of the Iceheart Empire, who were facing the hunchbacked old man, pounded violently. Without any hesitation, they fled into the distance frantically. Chapter 1586. 1586 1,586 corpses and 5,000 miles of blood. Damn cowards. If I was at my peak, I could crush you all with one hand. The stooped old man looked furious when he saw the two ancestors of the Bingxin Empire escaping. The soul of darkness in his body had not been cleared by Wang Xian. He was only suppressed. His strength had not reached its peak yet. With the strength that he had just recovered a little, he could easily pin down two experts at the 8th level of the see-through realm. However, it was still a little difficult to keep them alive. Bingxin Empire, I will destroy your country and your people. I will make your blood flow for tens of thousands of miles. I will destroy all your cities and destroy all the members of the Royal Ice Clan. Destroy your country and your clan. I will come and look for you very soon. Wait for my arrival. Roar, roar. Wang Xian's tyrannical dragon eyes stared at the long-haired elder and Bing Fa Wu who were fleeing. A ghastly voice was transmitted over. The two figures, who had already fled 10 kilometers away, trembled in the air. Their expressions were extremely ugly. There was a hint of fear in their eyes. They had never expected that they would be faced with the calamity of having their country annihilated just because they had taken the initiative to marry Ling Jian to the young master Aotian in order to curry favor with the solipsistic sect. They even wanted to exterminate all the members of the Imperial Ice Clan. As the Ice Empire that had stood tall in the vast region for tens of thousands of years, the members of the Ice Clan alone numbered in the tens of millions. Most of them were gathered in the Iceheart Imperial City. With the ferocity and tyranny of the Sky Demon, he would definitely do as he said. Why is Pastor Wang the Sky Demon? Why? They could not help but roar in their hearts. Their faces were filled with bitter smiles, and thick regrets surged into their hearts. Because of a woman, because of them, they had directly plunged the Bingxin dynasty into danger. Let's go back immediately. Master 8 is in the Imperial City. I refuse to believe that with the strength of the three of us, and with the foundation of our Bingxin dynasty, we can't resist a Sky Devil. Both of them revealed an extremely embarrassed expression. With a gloomy expression, they fled quickly towards the Imperial City of the Bingxin Empire. Wang Xian didn't chase after them because they couldn't escape. If they dared to run, he would dare to exterminate everyone in the Bingxin Empire. Boom. He swayed his huge body and looked towards the direction in front of him. The Abyss Demon Dragon was wreaking havoc on everything in the area of the lone sect. Everything within a radius of dozens of kilometers had turned into ruins. On the ground, there were tens of thousands of corpses. The most eye-catching thing was that in the center, there was a formation that was emitting green light. The formation was like a green castle. There was no light circulating, as if it was material. Even though the Abyss Demon Dragon had struck it more than 10 times, it did not break. Inside the formation, more than 30 middle-aged young men and old men were looking outside with pale faces. When they saw Wang Xian's dragon eyes looking over, their hearts trembled. Wang Xian's body swayed, and he came to the top of the formation. His pair of emotionless dragon eyes were staring inside. Sky Demon, if you dare to kill us, My lone sect will kill you even if we have to chase you to the ends of the earth." In the middle of the formation, an old man shouted loudly. Bang! Wang Xian's dragon claws landed heavily on the formation, enveloping the entire formation. Waves of dense dark energy corroded the formation. The continuous darkness caused the green formation to turn black slowly. "Let us go, let us go." Upon seeing this scene, the people from the lone sect in the formation were completely flustered as they shouted in horror. Crack, crack. The formation cracked slowly, causing the people inside to feel even more despair. "I, Wang Xian, am here today to warn all of you from the lone sect." Wang Xian opened his dragon mouth and his voice spread across a radius of more than 10,000 kilometers. "If Jian is missing a single hair, I will fight to the death with all of you, the only sect. Everything here is a warning to all of you. If you don't send Jian over, I will kill every single disciple of the only sect I see until I die or all of you die." Wang Xian's tone was filled with endless killing intent as he roared. His gaze slowly landed on the area below the dragon claw. It was an elder of the 7th level of the see-through void sect of the solicitous sect, as well as a group of elite disciples. Even the two heavens favorites from heaven and earth were also located within the formation. They looked at Wang Xian with trembling eyes. Their arrogant and confident expressions that were above everything vanished completely. In front of Wang Xian, they were like ants. Wang Xian's gigantic dragon claw pointed straight ahead. A stream of resplendent black light descended from the dragon claw. "No, no, I don't want to die yet. I don't want to die. Don't kill me, don't kill me." In front of Wang Xian, the two peerless heavens favorites in heaven and earth had completely lost their hatred for Wang Xian. They only hoped that Wang Xian would spare their lives. As the dragon claws descended, corpses were instantly left on the ground. The heavens favorites from the heavens and the earth of the solitaire sect died immediately. They were unexcelled in their glory. The two heavens favorites who had declared their dominance over the entire vast region were crushed to death like ants. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, waves of terrifying demonic flames came from the sky. In the sky, the abyss demonic dragon opened its huge mouth. Rolling dark flames fell towards the ground. Everything was burned and corroded by the darkness. There was nothing in the entire solipsistic sect's base in the ruins of the divine kingdom. Go and destroy the territory of the Bingxin Empire in the ruins of the divine kingdom. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings. Finally, he looked at the hunchbacked old man and said to him, "It's Boss Demon. I'm the best at killing and setting fires. Kiki." The hunchbacked old man moved and flew directly towards the direction of the Bingxin Empire. This sky devil actually threatened our sect and killed everyone here. As expected of the sky devil, he isn't afraid of our sect at all and isn't afraid of their revenge. This kind of devil, whoever dares to provoke him will be courting death. The Bingxin Empire was originally on good terms with Priest Wang. Why did he suddenly become so angry and vow to exterminate him or even his entire clan? Shocked voices sounded out from the surroundings. Everyone looked at the ruined solipsism and gulped. This was one of the three superpowers, the solipsism. Many people were curious about the reason why Priest Wang was so angry. He didn't care about the solipsism and swore to destroy the Iceheart dynasty. Soon, everything that happened here and the cause of it were spread to the various superpowers. When they received this news, everyone was stunned. This caused them to mock the Bingxin dynasty. Priest Wang has been kind to you, yet you are ungrateful. In the end, they never expected that Priest Wang was the legendary sky demon. This time, the Bingxin dynasty was completely destroyed. Looking at the figure in the ruins ahead, the eyes of the experts from the various factions flashed. Chapter 1587. 1587, 1587, buried millions of corpses and bled thousands of miles. Boom, boom, boom. In the ruins of the divine kingdom, The silence did not last long when the rumbling sound was heard again. Has it started? It seems that the Sky Demon is going to exterminate the Bingxin dynasty this time, and it will be a bloody extermination. Won't the Sky Demon exterminate everyone in the Bingxin dynasty? That's tens of billions of people. It's impossible to exterminate everyone. It's highly possible to exterminate the royal family's Ice Clan. The Sky Demon said that just now. Who asked the Ice Heart dynasty to be ungrateful? They deserve to be kicked into the abyss. Hearing the roars and screams from the Ice Heart dynasty, everyone felt their hearts tremble. The hunchbacked old man was also a ruthless person. Are we going to destroy the country? In less than 5 minutes, a terrifying black shadow flew over directly. In front of him, a blood-red ball of blood was pulsating in front of him. The blood ball was extremely strange and evil. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the surroundings. His body moved and immediately returned to his size of about 150 meters. His gaze was fixed on the stooped old man. Hee, Boss Missouri, this is a good item in my hands. This is the bloodline of the Ice Clan of the Bingxin Empire. Since Boss Missouri wants to exterminate your entire clan, I will naturally help you to prepare properly. With this bloodline demon group, I can sense everyone in the Bingxin Empire. When the time comes, I will kill them directly. Hee. How about it, Boss Missouri? Isn't this one very powerful? The stooped old man's eyes lit up as he said to Wang Xian in a fawning manner. Let's go. Wang Xian gave a cold glance. His body moved, and he flew directly in the direction of the Bingxin Empire. All right, Boss Demon. The stooped old man grinned and flew in the sky, following closely behind Wang Xian. In this world, anyone who dares to provoke me, Boss Demon, will die. I don't care if you are from the solipsistic sect or the Bingxin Empire. Hee. The hunchbacked elder let out a maniacal laugh that spread throughout the entire ruins of the Divine Kingdom. 2 terrifying demonic shadows flew rapidly towards the Bingxin Empire. The Sky Demon is not simple. That elder is not simple either. At the position of the Wuji Empire, Patriarch Dark Eye and all the experts of the Wuji Empire were standing at a spot more than 10 kilometers away. Looking at the figures of Wang Xian and the stooped old man, Patriarch Dark Eye said with a slightly solemn tone, "Oh, Patriarch? Even you think that the Sky Demon and the old man are stronger?" Wu Qingcheng, who was standing at the side, asked in shock when he heard Patriarch Dark Eye's words. Wang Xian had caused too much trouble this time. He had killed all the experts and core disciples of the Solitaire sect. This matter was no longer something that he could lend a hand to. Every single one of them has a terrifying energy hidden in their bodies. Dark Pupil frowned, and his eyes were filled with solemnity. They might even be able to escape under my hands. Hiss. When everyone in the Wuji Empire heard their forefathers' evaluation, they all took a deep breath. This was the forefather of their empire who was nearly invincible in the vast region. He actually had such a high evaluation of the Sky Demon and the hunchbacked old man. That Wang Xian is really mysterious. He cultivates both light and darkness. I really don't understand. Wu Qingcheng looked at the sky with a complicated expression. This Sky Demon killed many disciples of the Solitaire sect and destroyed the base of the Solitaire sect. The Solitaire sect should be furious. This Sky Demon is really unbridled. Now he's going to destroy the Iceheart Empire. What's going to happen next is interesting. The experts of the Southern royal family were also discussing at the side. The vast region was about to become lively. The Saint of Light, Priest King, was a Sky Demon. The Iceheart dynasty had ungratefully betrothed Bing Jian to young Lord Ao Tian. The news of Priest King vowing to destroy the Iceheart dynasty quickly spread throughout the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. When everyone heard the news, their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. First of all, the fact that the Sage of Light was a Sky Demon made many people feel incredulous. However, many people still supported Priest Wang in this sudden battle. Firstly, Priest Wang had saved many people, and secondly, the people that the Sky Demon had killed were all extremely vicious. On the contrary, it was the ingratitude of the Ice Heart Empire that made everyone despise them. Boss Demon, the location in front is a city of the Bingxin Empire. Wang Xian and the hunchbacked old man were extremely fast. In just a few minutes, they had already flown a few thousand kilometers. The Bingxin Empire was not very far from the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. Very soon, a city appeared in their line of sight. Kill? Wang Xian did not hesitate at all. His tyrannical eyes flew towards the city in front of him. His body was filled with brutality. If he overused the dark energy, the brutal dark energy would fill his mind. Kiki, it's Boss Missouri. Anyone with the bloodline of the Bingxin Empire, kill them all. The hunchbacked old man let out a weird cry. The shadows of the two of them instantly appeared above the city. The city covered an area of 100 kilometers. The population below had reached tens of millions. All citizens of the Bingxin dynasty, listen up. The royal family of the Bingxin dynasty has offended our Lord Skyfiend. All of you, kneel on the ground immediately. The hunchbacked elder floated in the sky as a ghastly and terrifying voice charged downwards. Crack, crack, crack. The instantly activated city protection array was instantly blasted apart by a powerful force. A terrifying pressure covered the area below. What? My sky? Sky demon? It's that demon Sky Demon. In the city, everyone raised their heads and looked at the two terrifying demon shadows in the sky. Their faces were filled with fear. Even some insightful void martial artists were filled with shock. After today, there will be no more Ice Heart Empire. Wang Xian's cold dragon eyes stared downwards. A surge of demonic dragons' might was directed downwards. Everyone in the city had a drastic change in expression as they spat out blood. You bunch of damned Bingxin Empire bastards, hurry up and kneel down. The hunchbacked old man roared at the people below. Yes, yes. Kneel down. Hurry up and kneel down. My God. Everyone hurriedly knelt on the ground, their eyes filled with terror. All those who have the bloodline of the royal family of the Bingxin dynasty will die. Kiki. Extermination. I love it the most. When everyone was kneeling on the ground, the hunchbacked old man waved his arm. The blood ball in front of him directly attacked the figures below. Those who possessed the royal bloodline were mostly the upper echelons of the city. Faced with the strange methods of the hunchbacked old man, the people from the royal family of Bingxin revealed terrified expressions. Awe! Continuous sounds rang out. At least 1,000 people in the entire city were all dead. Boom! Wang Xian's gaze swept past them. He didn't pay any attention to them and continued to fly towards the direction of the Bingxin Empire. Don't blame him for being ruthless. He treated the Bingxin Empire very well. In fact, he even owed them a favor. However, they repaid his kindness with enmity and wanted to kill him. In that case, he should start paying the price with blood. 1,000,000 corpses will be buried, and blood will flow for thousands of miles. Begin. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.